Is that the bite of 87?
More DACA.
Did the stream start yet?
No worry, the next one will be the bite
No.
of 27.
The bite of 6-7.
Dude, you shouldn't have said that. I was waiting for the stream to start. Yeah, I'm surprised. Surprised you sent me that. Like so many different ink. The one you sent me. You sent me like in VIP, like dude fucking doing turn and like. Yeah, but there's just another. I've seen it in like. Yo, is this 120 dangerous?
It literally has hit nothing but the roof, so. But the opposite.
Can I kill this with shotgun? Oh, right. Very annoying. Might have to terminate. Oh, they're good. I have the.
New update. That too. That's nice.
There was
but
also
there was a new update.
New orb on.
Gave me a minigun and a double barrel shotgun. There's probably more coming from the Game Award show.
You know when they announced the
Yeah, we're most likely gonna get the.
The
OG
Illumina Invasion
Illuminatis.
came from the Game Award show, yeah. Alright,
What's up?
our path's clear. I don't even know what it. I don't think it's going to be a big fucking thing like everyone's, because it's like already been debunked on God of War, Elder Scrolls, and what the hell was the other one? Diablo. So
Diablo 4.
I don't. It could be. I think people are going to get disappointed. I don't think it's going to be like some. I just think it's going to be some obscure game that a couple people get hyped for. I was joking that it was Two Worlds. I mean,
Halo. It's Half-Life 3, bro.
Dream AAA.
Half-Life 3. Yep,
New Vegas and the Fallout 4.
It could be just
Stalker.
PV. PoE.
It could be Kingdom of Almaner sequel. That'd be dope.
That would be interesting.
Bears and Snakes.
Or I guess would it be Fable news? I don't know. Possibly.
It could be Fable. But
Joke's on you.
That doesn't feel right.
You're all wrong. Fallout New Vegas remaster.
I mean, the last thing we saw of Fable was what? Jack and the Beanstalk style?
That's really what it
Hello.
is. Fable's based off all the fairy tales. Where is this spore piece of crap? There it is.
Rock and roll, bro.
Oh, sorry.
Oh well, nope.
I should probably go
Point in
vote for the
wasting-
second round of player choice. Oh, of course.
No point to waste time speculating about it.
Brother.
Find out soon enough.
I was just thinking of process of elimination, but really nothing comes to mind.
Witcher 4?
Too soon for that.
Did you see how Project Red was saying, "Oh, we have our new trilogy for Witcher, and it's all going to be
6
released within
years.
6 years"? It's like, no, it's not.
I said good fucking luck. Even if you have the storyline fleshed out and everything, just good luck developing it.
Stalker. We got Stalker.
It's too soon for anything Elder Scrolls 2, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Everyone's like on that copium, but that shit ain't coming out until 2028 at the earliest. I'm predicting later than that. Stalker's Nest has got to be somewhere.
That doesn't line up.
Little buffalo sauce to clear out the sinuses.
I have returned. Huh? I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm just like, huh? Just to say, huh?
Cat's alive? That's crazy.
I don't
That
think
his
he
life
actually
force
is.
has been drained by the succubus.
He's still a figment of our imagination.
Oh.
You wish.
My boy's
By the way,
bone dry.
Are we gonna go through Fallout here shortly, or should I just do that on my own?
Follow you?
Need a refill?
What's that?
Well, I mean, I can do it through Discord, but yeah, I didn't know if we wanted to wait for the misses.
Oh.
You're falling behind, actually, because I'm pretty sure another episode came out.
Yes.
So we like to remind you.
Uh,
では前に出ます。
Hello, chat. Oh. Sorry, I was still eating dinner, talking to the girlfriend, and then getting set up there while we were in VIP. My kick is airing out again. Okay. I just posted the tweet for the stream chat. Do me the favor, go give that some love. You guys know it helps me out. Weird. But chat, you can't have a mouse on the Switch too, right? Okay. Let's get this party started. Hello, everybody. How's it going today? No, but you can use the Joy-Con as a mouse. Okay, that's why I was wondering, because I saw somebody talking about it with regards to Metroid Prime 4, which I definitely want to play. Also, Andre was showing me a game earlier today that was really interesting, so may have some new stuff coming down the pipeline. But I hope chat's had a good day. There's definitely a ton going on in FGO all of a sudden. I did allude to that yesterday, that we were kind of in this like really weird like gap day yesterday, and then today we were gonna have like just Grandcaster stuff. We were tomorrow obviously gonna have the banner for Waiseki Kenshin, so both the next 2 days should be jam-packed of FGO content. Good. Merry new Saberface to you. So we don't know, obviously, whether or not the new Saberface will be playable. I will show that to chat here in a minute. We also have a new welfare on JP that we kind of knew about. And for those of you guys that were unaware, JP basically has a lotto right now. Yeah. A lotto. Sorry. Like, not basically. JP has a lotto. Let me emphatically say that. JP has a lotto for the next week. That is basically how this works. Because there is a new material that drops with the Grand Duels that will basically act as a lotto currency and allow you to roll out boxes. So, given the fact that you have like 7 days basically to, I keep saying basically, given that you have 7 days to roll out 7 days to do the nodes without any actual like storm pod attachment to it. Again, that is a 7-day lotto in effect. So you can use mouse to switch to if the game allows it. Interesting. Huh. So maybe Metroid Prime 4 does. That's weird. Time to summon the saber for New Year's. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I will absolutely like pay close attention to what's going on there in that regard. I like I said before, I don't know that it's like guaranteeable that we will be able to summon this new saber and that it won't be like a costume or a just an NPC or something. What I can tell you emphatically, because I was talking with Avalon about it this morning, is that the sprite that we encounter that we fight against is specifically listed to be an enemy variant of a normal sprite. So it is a mirrored version. The base version is the one I posted to Twitter, which is her facing the correct direction, which means that there is a player side sprite for Artoria, for this new Artoria. So that would lend itself to thinking like, okay, this is going to be summonable. But it is possible that it could just be like an NPC or a guest character that like shows up that you can use for one battle. That would suck. I would really hope not, but I still think that they're actually going to do this. If they don't, I'm going to tell them it is the blunder of the century and they are literally throwing away free money at that point. So, especially given the fact that the devs clearly did a whole butt ton of work on her design and animations. Resurgence, thank you for the 52. Appreciate it, my man. And Torak, thank you for the 66 earlier. And Halcyon, thank you as well for the Prime. Appreciate you guys. Oh, we just got another drop. I wonder if she'll be the next OC story. So it's really interesting because right now we are technically missing the Foreigner story. Wow, that's a shit. Wow, I cannot spell. Anyways, the Foreigner story that that Nasu talked about, and we essentially have like some interesting tidbits here with the Solomon reveal. And when I say the Solomon reveal, I'm not going to go into the unique spoilers, even though I'm sure somebody's going to come late to stream at me and be like, so Cad, what do you think about spoiler? But it'll be a thing. I'm just going to say at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff that has been revealed is very predictable. I know Trubs and myself both called this ahead of time. So it's not too crazy. Maybe not the exact specificity of how things were revealed on JP, but this is something I think we've had, pretty good eyes on for a while now. And then the Artoria reveal in and of itself, I've told you guys this before, but I've predicted that Artoria would be involved with the end of FGO for years now. And that you functionally could not have an ending to at least the part 2 arc, the entire, part 1 and part 2 arc that we've gone on here, without bringing in Artoria back into things. So that's where I was like, I don't know if you guys remember earlier in the year, I was getting a little skeptical that they were even going to do that, because they had completely avoided Artoria. They had absolutely just seemingly forgotten that she existed, even when there were really good moments to put her in. Like, even if we go back and we look at the Grand Saber choice, they did not do Artoria. And yet, ironically, Artoria is a Grand Saber in the Grand Caster duel, which is ironic a little bit. Can't really go through year 10 of the game without a new Artoria, right? And that was kind of my stance, is like, it just, honestly, it felt like such a letdown leading up to this point, because it was like, you guys are kind of screwing the pooch. Like, there was no involvement in summer, there was no involvement in anniversary this year, and it just felt like such a stupid thing. But I think we see why. Obviously, this is kind of what they've done before in the past, where when they do include something in a pivotal moment for story, they don't necessarily include it in other stuff. So that's not that surprising then. It just makes me sit there and go like, huh? Like, as to why they completely negated it, other than, again, like we had... We really didn't have much Saberface involvement at all throughout the year, other than specifically Ordeal Call 4, with Jontron there. So a little bit, it's interesting to see how they've conducted themselves this year. I'm not going to say that I wholly approve, but I am going to say that I obviously like the outcome here now in the end. I wish they maybe would have conducted themselves better throughout the year, but it is what it is. Maybe that Artoria was the Annie servant that's moved to Valentine's. That's actually an interesting idea. However, I do believe that they've said that there is a servant that is in the silhouette. I seem to remember that being the case, but I'd have to go back and look at the actual quote. That it was somebody from the silhouette specifically. Which actually, chat, does anybody have the full breakdown of the silhouettes from earlier in the year? Yes, we're missing the big shadow. Okay. The one with horns, big armor. I mean, does anyone have a link to it? Because I know which one you guys are talking to, but I can't show it for demonstrative purposes. One sec. Yeah, it's all good. Take your time. Damn, it's the Grand Theft Auto song. Totally not Tom Petty. Thank you, Lucario. I got it. Yeah, so just so we're aware, everything else from this year has come out, except whatever the hell this is. And this is a little bit of an interesting thing, because this does look like a crown here. And all of this is going on in the background. In a weird way, I could see the person's face being down here. And so this actually could, I doubt it. It's probably still a male, but it's it actually could technically be a disguised female. But the height is what's so untenable here. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be Valentine's. So who knows? We'll just have to see. Because I think like characters that we've seen this year that probably you know, people would really want would be the Bomber Girl. Obviously, our new Artoria. The Snake Lady. Yeah, Omoy. Did you see the new 5-star? Yes. Look at the middle top of the crown. What? This? Or are you talking about like this? Is that a heart? I'm gonna be real with you, boss. Like, if anything, this mostly looks like a penis motif. But it is what it is. Now, is chat saying that there could be a female back here? Technically, yes, but like the issue at play is there's no like feet for this, and this does look to be like a cape outline of stuff. Like for instance, this is Indra's sword. This is an interesting cover. What's going on with the shoes? The shoes are definitely like really big shoes. That's why, like I said, I'm pretty much of the opinion that this is a male. Like this looks like a typical like super like caped dude. Not accounting for Donger Crown, yeah. New Merlin, I doubt it. M for Surprise Amaterasu, doubtful. Because these don't look like Japanese like clogs, right? Or sandals, I guess. Abe no Seimei trust. Abe no Seimei would be wild at this point, but chat, what if low-key this is actually not Ashoka's hand, and this is actually the hand from like this thing, and he's just putting it on the dude's like pillar. Anyways. The only thing I dislike about this cover is he doesn't hit the good notes that he needs to for this song. Because I actually do like the rhythm and beat change for what that cover did. Arms thrown back flamboyantly. Yeah, he's Batman. Oh, chat, maybe that's who it is. Maybe it's Kamazotz. We do 90 plus instead of plus plus because I like the maths better. I mean, that's fine. You're cool to do that. I'm literally just doing this because it's actually easy to do this 90 plus plus. So it's just a very easy one to do. I need the points. I need the materials for catch up. I mean, like, we'll see. Keep in mind, too, chat, with regards to the silhouette, They just said, like, hey, that silhouette character did have to get pushed, right? There are also characters that will get released that are not on the silhouette. And if any of them make sense, it would make sense not to put Artoria in a silhouette. Why? Well, I mean, Chad, I can tell you every single time they release a silhouette, the very first thing I do is I go to it and I look at them and I ask myself, could any of them be a saber face? So, like, if you put her in that silhouette, you're going to see the crowd, and I'm going to be like, like, I'm immediately going to be like, that's what that is. I'm actually surprised how easy this one is. I mean, yeah, I think it's because, again, there's no, like, damage CE in this one. So, because there's not a damage CE, there's no real, like... They can't actually scale it up, because technically, and I don't know if chat's aware of this, but technically the 90++ nodes are gauged off of damage bonuses, including event bonuses and damage CEs. So that's part of the reason that you get such insane scaling, is because the 90++ nodes are actually designed around 5 slotting. You being able to 6 slot it is you cheating the game. It is what it is. So that's how you know it's like that's not their design. And this is pretty clear too when you compare like 5 slot 90++ to 6 slot 90+. They are actually designed to be relatively even. That's why. They're not actually trying to give an advantage. They're trying to scale up things so that, like, okay, hey, there is actually like benefit to having higher NP levels and more robust units. But at the same time, I do think it's a really weird system that they've done. And I don't think it's been wholly effective at actually getting people to roll for more like than they already do. You saw the news of Micron, the RAM manufacturer. I heard that they are going, like, that they are leaving the consumer market, but I did not hear why. I assume it's because they're now mostly selling to, like, AI and stuff like that. Like, they're doing all corporate stuff. Balls deep on AI, apparently. There you go. I literally, like I said, I saw the news. I didn't read into it. I just guessed right there. And yeah, that's not surprising. Now, hear me out, though, chat, because, like, I saw people today reacting to it like, oh my god, we're fucked! And it's like, you guys do realize that if one of the big 3 RAM manufacturers leaves the market, there are only 2. Which then means a new 3rd will appear. Like, you'd have to be an idiot at this point if you were looking to get into that market not to jump at that opportunity. Doesn't mean that the 3rd one incoming won't get squashed or will, like, be successful. It's just like, yeah, there will probably be some new thing. That's a lot of market share to suddenly snatch. Exactly. The scary part, they can ramp it up, they just won't. Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. RAM is insane because of AI. Yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is just like the AI boom. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely a thing. AI is here to stay. People keep trying to act like it's not, but I know people have misgivings, and I'm not going to talk about that. Obviously, I think there are concerns with anything involving AI at this point. But regardless of that, it's like people want to put lightning back in the bottle, or basically they want to, you know, reseal Pandora's box. And it's like, you can't. It's already out. It's already out there. So at this point, expecting that is just naive. And instead, what we should be trying to do is trying to curtail what is already out there and, like, shape what the future will become in that regard. That being said, I really, like, hope that the AI, like, stuff calms down a little bit, as there's not as much of a run on that sort of stuff right now. I get that everybody and their brother is trying to desperately, but I don't think you need to keep going bigger and harder. It reminds me of, like, the whole Bitcoin mining craze. And then eventually that cooled off as well. Oh, this person does not have their... Oh, that actually reminds me, I need to do some more of my grand score. It rams the fuck out of you. That's right. I regret not buying more Intel and Apple stocks. No, the one you should regret is not buying more Nvidia, dude. Holy fuck. I think Nvidia is like the world's like, is it third most profitable company now? Like they have just gone insane. And yeah, so because this one didn't have all the unlocks, I failed to kill Solomon. Well, bye-bye Shakespeare. Chad, I also want to give a nice shout out to the fact that if you're doing this properly, if at all properly, you never kill Artoria. I see how it is. Somebody here was like, yeah, let's not kill her. Like, fuck this guy, but let's not kill her. So it makes me chuckle. Okay, so the problem is now I have to live. So there is also, by the way, I was talking with Avalon about this, but apparently the the taunt can be removed if you stun her. And I don't know if it's permanently removed or at least like just for the duration of the stun. But that is definitely an interesting aspect if true. Basically just do arch chains here, try to get Ace back to an NP. And if she gets hit once, we'll have it. If not, we're gonna go a third turn. Never fails. Yeah, what am I listening to? Mariah Carey death metal, All I Want for Christmas. What? According to Trebs, you can kill Solomon with Scheherazade. Yes, Scheherazade is anti-king. Scheherazade's actually what I got my first clear with. My Shez kills both. Hey. No? No? Also, hold on, chat. I have a text message. Okay. Anyways. There we go. Hillary said hi, Cad? No. Days, thank you for the resub. But yeah, no, Chad, I'm just going to say that you're evil if you kill Artoria here. Shiba can't because she's single target, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Shiba, you would have to, like, again, stun her or something. So how did I die here? I guess I just didn't have any protection. Well, that's still going to invuln Pierce, I think. So I still might lose her. I'll just heal her just in the hope that it actually saves her, because if she goes down, that actually makes this really hard to clear. Yeah, the problem is it gives her invuln Pierce. Love these animations. Okay, perfect. Yeah, kill the fuck out of Merlin. I don't care. Gonna go ahead and give her the guts too. Sorry, it's really funny because this comp is super solid, but if it falls apart, it becomes like a challenge quest. Wait, why is chat now suddenly saying if you stun her, you can remove the taunt when I literally just said that 5 minutes ago? Hey man, don't treat Merlin that way. Yeah, it's all good. Delay? I don't know. Merlin Shakespeare Condo is actually dumb as hell. It really is, and it's hilarious how well it works. Okay, so let's actually go and buff. Okay. And yes, chat, it is that season now. You're all just subjected to this. Prophet is not feeling the Christmas spirit. Oh, Prophet skipped? I mean, that's fine. Prophet can skip. But I also can't stop chat from requesting more Christmas music. So it is what it is. Probably go with extra attack. I'm probably not going to do the quick up ones. And I think most of these are less good. Okay, so I actually really want this one. Wow, this is just begin battle with 30% more charge. And this one is non-specific chain. So here you go, chat. Hold on. Let me open this up so that chat can see it. But basically, this one will actually really help if I can't immediately secure a clear. So this one potentially can buff. The quickest PMod, Arts is stars, Buster is charge. It's not as good then. Really, I guess the big thing I need to be after is this. But it doesn't even matter because I'm not using mine in the front line. Mighty Chain gives attack up as well, is good. Okay, so it really doesn't matter. The only one that actually sucks here is this. And technically the quick one, because I'm just not going to get a quick chain. Okay. Angels we have heard on high tell us to go out and buy. Oh, God. How do you summon Solomon? Solomon is a welfare, and you're going to get him after you, like, win the Caster Grand Duel completely, and then finish the prologue. He's given to you from that. Yeah, so then I think the best course of action is to go down here. Grab this. Go down here. Yeah, we'll just stop there for right this moment. Well, you know what? Screw it. Just go ahead and unlock the quick one. I don't think I have enough to do the middle chain. Oh, I do. Just enough. Okay, so that's perfect. That should make her a little bit stronger for this sort of thing. Dad, thank you for the resub, bud. How's it going? Nice. Thank you for the big 6'9". The funny number. Chat, I also did do some cleaning on my account earlier today. I already done some of the runs, but I definitely needed to like get more. And I didn't do as many because I spent some time cleaning and like clearing stuff. I didn't actually get much out of my like mailbox yet, but basically I tidied up my current inventory, and then from now I can start like probably pulling stuff out of the mailbox. Do the Grandcaster buffs have an impact if your Grand is a support and not an attack unit? Yes, because it applies party-wide. At least most of them do. Yeah, so Maz's is not finished. So I'm wondering if they don't have the Buster Up one, which is wild if they don't. Yeah, they don't. These are their only grand buffs. They have the base like 3, but not the extra attack one, and they have the starting charge. That's so sad, because the Buster Up one would really help that kill. So unfortunately, there are a lot of like not completed ASKs. Or Tonalico, or Ash as people were calling it. If you have an NP5 120 with MLB Black Grail, it does just kill with this simple comp. Which is what I keep looking for. Which, by the way, if chat was unaware, like, it is really easy to progress your Grand. Here we go. So this is basically a perfect choice. So it's NP5, MLB. It does have the Bond C, but it doesn't really need it, which is ironic because it actually has the charge effect on it, and you don't need that. It has the optimal like bonding C, which is the Da Vinci one that I think gives 20% to other casters, and has everything maxed out over here. Plus has basically their grand score and everything maxed out already. So this is quite literally perfect. Perfection. Way to see a 5-star and a welfare? Yes. Yes, he is. So I don't have the triple buster chain. That is unfortunate. But we will try to go for the 200% charge here. And hopefully that will be enough. But I'm definitely worried about that. Because again, be taunting. NP levels can be hard. NP levels are fine. Like, I'm not going to begrudge someone not having NP5. It's more like there's a ton of asks, and I myself have an ask at like 108 right now. But she also isn't my grand choice. My grand choice is Castoria. So I knew I like wasn't in some sort of like imperative need to get her done right away. But if she were going to be my grand choice, I absolutely would have like tried to get her finished before this. This also has a godly trait web, lawful good female caster. Bond goes ham. Yep. Well, and she's also anti-evil for the purposes of clearing this, which is really, really nice. Because somebody's evil. Also, the recent Shakespeare buff just really freaking helps. There we go. We got the Buster up. So you guys can see there is a Buster field effect in play now on the field. That is basically the way that the caster grand score buffs work. So you get a benefit of like getting Buster resist down, but this is specific to the field. So it's not something on your units that can be removed or stripped. So it's really, really nice effect. Also, Marsugita voice lines is Pog, indeed. Herc has pretty much a perfected one. Let's try it. This should be close enough to kill. A big factor here, though, too, like, as to whether or not I can get a lesser one to kill is if I get 3 Buster cards. Which you'd be surprised how often it doesn't happen. See, look at this shit. 3 Buster casters. And behold my card allotment. Now, to be fair, Merlin is an abnormality, but, like, Ask and Shakespeare are less so. Feed your head. I can't reliably push for that second one, so we're just going to try to chain her and hope that that's enough. Shakespeare buffs as much as a non-third skill Oberon. It's actually crazy. Yeah, actually, now that you guys mentioned that, I actually do need to go sit there and upgrade Shakespeare's skill, because that'll actually probably help. What's up, Asastra? How's it going? I'm using double DPS setup for it. Go for it. Oh, yeah, let's roll. There we go. So it should be this one. Let me double check to make sure that leveling this skill actually does something. Yeah, it does. Just not by a whole lot. But I'll take it. Again, he's a year one. He's basically a day one unit, so his materials actually can't be that bad. So yeah, he is an easy level. Actually, yeah, his third skill is flat. That is what I remembered. So that should get the most that we can out of that. That way it'll minimize low rolling. Also VA Joseph from JoJo's. Oh god. Kentoki from Gintama. Yeah, that one I knew. So Pachi's got... Let's double check this. There's a little bit I kind of got to learn who has what. Okay, so Pachi does have all the relevant buffs there, so this should work probably as well. Again, like, you guys are seeing, I'm taking an NP4, a 117, when it's like, these are definitely shaving some off the top, but it should still be strong enough to clear. We'll do that. There we go. At least we can get the 20% attack up. My name's not Zura, it's Katsura. Have I watched Jobless Incarnation? I don't believe so. Ah, damn, we're just shy. There's so many, like, stacking buffs here that's just rolling around. It is very easy to miss one-shotting. And the problem is, if you miss one-shotting, it gets prohibitively annoying. Okay. There we go. We should get our NP off of this. Do you think Artoria removes her taunt? Yes. Yes. I've literally commented on it 3 times already. Who is this beautiful new saber? Hello, side. We don't, like, technically know yet. It's Lord Logrest, which is implying that it's, like, the ruler of Britain. So there is some implications. I was talking with Trubs about it a little bit too, that it's like, this could be like a little bit of a fake. This is the one that, like, Solomon is summoning. But the sprite is mirrored, and the sprite is specifically listed as an enemy variant. So it does imply that this will be a summonable sprite. What am I listening to? Creed sings Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. What? Do you think the sword is Caliburn and Excalibur combined? Could be, or it could be a new creation. I've seen people theorize Caliburnus, but Caliburnus is heavily implied to be Caliburn. I've seen people talk about Calidfwitch, but Calidfwitch is also just the prototype to Excalibur, so it is what it is. I don't know what they're going to try to do here. It is explicitly listed in the chant as, like, a holy sword, and it's like, I think at this point it could be like Excalibur and just a different variant of it, or who knows what. I will say this, and I had talked about this some in the comments on Twitter, but obviously, you guys remember that Nasu kind of talked about, like, BB Dubai, and, like, Draco as well. I think Takeuchi talked about, as they were sort of like the ultimate / final versions of their characters. I feel like that's what's going on here with Artoria, because you also kind of have that similar, like, design style and, like, motif going on with, like, Space Aresh Kagal and stuff. I think Avalon listed out another one when I was talking to him. Um, Lord Logris' sword is the sword in the stone underwater in the lake. Yeah. Cad Frozen? No, sorry, I was just typing something. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's an ultimate Artoria. I had to explain a concept to her. Stream died for a moment? It shouldn't have. It was probably just me, like, sitting there typing something off screen and not looking like I was moving. But this is also why I now have my support list sorted by level. Because the chief, like, common factor is if somebody has their ace get 120, it's probably a good ace to take. Whereas there are multiple asks at, like, the sub, like, 110 range that are just not prepared to, like, clear this. I wonder if anybody has done Grand Halloween Liz. Dude, I'm sure people have. Like, it is Liz. Liz is a more popular character than people will give her credit for. Oh my god, dude, I cannot get a Buster card to save my life. Like, I can't even do a Mighty Chain here. Ah! Well, be what it be. Try to get Merlin to his MP. But yeah, Logress is definitely an interesting name for her. That's why I was saying, is like, it is implied that this might not be the form that we summon. I'm sure, like, aesthetically it will be, but, like, who knows? Also, I just realized Dogecam is right behind the chat now. Does chat still feel like they can see Dogecam? Oh. Oh. What? What is this song? I can't. It's all I want for Christmas is you, but it's Metallica singing For Whom the Bell Tolls. This is using AI for evil, chat. Oh, thank you. I was going to suffer through it, but thankfully chat did not want to. A heal. See, now this will clear. Bonk. Now we have the Buster down. AI for shit posting. Oh, I get that. This is real music, true. I mean, I don't mind AI mashups to a degree as long as they're well done. That particular one was just like, ugh. As somebody that is generally a fan of Metallica, that just grated my ears. When I read Solomon's Kid, I was like, there's no shot this is a welfare, but he is. It's not surprising to me. I think, like, all things considered, the fact that he's a welfare makes a whole lot of sense. I think, like, narratively and, again, just like with the state of the game, it does make sense that they're going to try to, like, build hype for this. So, like, giving him out as a welfare makes sense, like, logistically all around. Stunk. FGO doesn't really skimp on welfare kits. That too. Usually welfares are pretty darn solid. I called the class? Yeah, the class call is an interesting one, and I'm definitely not surprised that it's a pretender. But I'm not going to go into that in detail. Oh, there we go. Merlin to Bun 12. We're back to Temple of Time farming. AK, thank you for the resub. Thank you for the 50 months. I appreciate it, my man. Hope you're having a good one. Hope chat is enjoying the lotto. We will talk about Solomon here shortly. I'm just trying to spread things out to keep chat's attention. What's it gonna do? Oh, right, the Bond Grail on Merlin. Still 34 of these suckers, chat. I ain't ever running out. Let's actually see if I can upgrade anything. Again, it doesn't really matter for our purposes. Let's grab the Mighty Chain one. Grab that. And then it's basically in order. I think it's this, this, then this, and then lastly this. This is still the shittiest one in every single grand score. It's just the master skill acceleration. It just does not fucking matter. Like, if you're desperately reliant on using your Mystic Code in some of these, it's not a good thing. Started a new job, so been busy? Oh, nice. Well, hopefully the new job's going good for you. Also, we definitely got some Alice's here coming out of the woodwork. Love to see it. If only we had a low star quick buffer, chat. Who was a quick support caster. You've got Scotty to help out. I do have Scotty, but like I can't pull off the Shakespeare like thing again here. So it just is what it is. Briancy Games, thank you for the follow. Welcome. After the next Lotto wins, I will only save give XP cards or my second archive. I assume you mean like 5-star cards. How do you get Solomon? You get Solomon basically by completely beating the grand class score thing here for caster, and then completing the prologue that came out. Which is, again, kind of why it's like, oh, it's a really strong 5-star. Why would they give that as a welfare? It's like, it's because it's locked behind a lot of stuff. A lot of hurdles you have to go through to get to that. And at that point, sure, yeah, have a free 5-star. And to be fair, Chad, it's technically not the first, like, 5-star welfare they've given out. When you consider the fact that we have had numerous 5-star selectors, and basically one of which was just a like choice of all the Fate Stay Night OG units, so you could literally just grab Artoria if you wanted. So technically, OG Artoria is actually the game's first welfare in that regard, which is interesting. Yeah. To see her paired up alongside what amounts to probably the game's second. Is MASH 5-star? That's true. You could also count MASH with her evolutions. Grand score? Yeah, give me a second, I'll show it to you. Are you familiar with the grand system at all, Briancy? Because this is all on the JP side of things right now. This is all cutting edge stuff that's just come out. NA, it'll take probably 2 years to come to. Is he as strong as normal 5-stars? We're going to compare later. Wasn't expecting that. Came back to JP? Yeah. So right now we are doing what are called the grand duels. There are basically systems in the game now to nominate one person of each class as your grand. The requirement, I believe, is that they must be at least level 100, so you have to have grailed them already. They must be level 100, they must be 10, 10, 10 in skills. And then in doing so, you can select them as your grand. Obviously, you can take it all the way up to 120 if you want. But basically, there is a new class score mechanic that when you do that, you actually, so you can see there's the old class score mechanic, but now as you zoom in, basically for the grand duel here, you can see there is a new grand score that goes over the top of it. I've almost completed mine already, but that's why we're farming the grand duels, is basically to get currency to get all of these skills that do really nice beneficial effects. So what you're going to do is you're going to select a unit. My unit here, for instance, is Castoria. That's going to turn them into your grand. You are going to get this grand score done. It's going to give them a bunch of buffs when they are in their grand capacity. That will not be all the time. But in certain battles where it is, they will have that. So once you've completed that, you're going to unlock a final fight. Once you beat that final fight, you'll be done with the grand score. So that's what it's requiring, is that you get done with the final fight and complete the grand score there. Then complete the prologue that just came out for the final chapter. Snoopy Christmas. It's been forever since I've seen Snoopy. Okay, thanks. No problem. Let me know if you have any other questions. Happy to answer them. Favorite grand fight intro so far? I'm biased because this one has Artoria. I actually do think this is a really interesting way of doing things. And I suspected that was going to be the case. That because it's Solomon, as we predicted, that they went a very interesting route with how they did this. So I think this one is my favorite. Okay, we actually have a Buster chain. Get some Buster down. That should get this to clear. Salman honestly throws a giant wrench in my NA grand ideas because he's so cool. Well, so interestingly enough, like, think about it this way. You can't get Solomon until you've completed this. So you need another pick anyways. So just go ahead and prep whoever your caster pick is, and then be prepared to pivot afterwards if you really want to do Solomon. Well predicted, everyone and their mama knew. No, you don't understand. I'm taking credit for this, as I did call it and have been calling it since January that it would be Solomon. Also, there were a ton of people saying it was not going to be Solomon. So you can say everyone predicted it, but I'm right. So I'm going to take that W, basically. You can't take credit for this? Yes, I can. It's like, oh, you can't take credit when you're right, Cad. No, you can't. How dare you call this a year in advance? Does Santa Altar exist? Am I a good FGO player? No. And I'll let you determine which one I'm saying no to. For the Lotto event, do I do Demon Towers or Grand Caster Fight? So it's an interesting question. I actually thank you for reminding me about that because I need to show that to chat. But, well, actually, we can back out. Let's see. I was thinking Merlin, to be honest. Merlin would be a good one. You can see a ton of people are doing Ace. A ton of people are doing Alice. I can straight up tell you that almost every single Shez Grand I have seen is just a gameplay Grand. And I know. Don't you lie to me, chat. I'm sure there are legitimate Shez fans out there. But, like, it's disproportionate. There's no way. Okay, so right now, because we do have this and because it is a pseudo lotto, it is possible for you guys not to have access to this. And they didn't want to, like, screw people out of a lotto at the end of the year. So they said, you can either grind the lotto by doing this, or you can come in here and you can do these nodes. These nodes are similar. Obviously, they don't take storm pods, but as you guys can see, it lasts the same duration, so it doesn't matter. It is kind of worth clearing them one time each, just simply for the like, clear reward, I guess you could say. But I think at the end of the day, like, you're still going to want to prefer to do the grand score stuff. It's just, this is an alternative that still drops the lotto currency if you guys want. Fake Shez fans, unlike me, yeah. Like I said, if people are legitimately interested in Shez, I'm not calling you out. I'm calling out the people that straight up just grailed Shez here, specifically just to, like, help them in the grand duel. That shows you that there are players that, like, they grail things for gameplay purposes, not for, like, the love of the character necessarily. Which is unfortunate, I think. Huh? Huh? Because it still has to be casters. I'm confused. Anyways, yeah, I guess it just actually is. It just still has to be casters regardless. For me, just for the Lotto, I grand an attacker caster. After the Lotto ends, I'll grand my Merlin. Yeah, and don't forget, you guys can like shift that stuff, so it's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know what I'm doing, but here we go. Let's see, because like, so chat's saying, oh. You have to take a caster as a support, but you don't have to take casters to the node? I am confused. Lotto bonus? Yeah, I guess like I don't even know why they give you the option then. Like just make it casters. But I guess like yeah, if you're newer or something, they don't want to like screw you out of it. Yo, Shakes, get in here. Where are you? Where are you, my bro? My broheim. Then I have Umu. I think it's a 4-star that I have here. Let's throw her in. Let's throw Wu in the back. I wish I could just copy my grand comp. Which is super weird because people don't actually have the like stuff from their grand comp. That's so odd. Wait, this doesn't seem right. Oh. It's because this is normally the Merlin Bonsi that I suddenly can't find. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I was sitting there, I was like, hold on, this just doesn't feel right. Like, the party cost alignment's not working. So I basically just recreated my grand comp. Let's see what the nodes are. Chat's already alleging it's Demon Pillar, so if it's single targets, that's maybe going to make things different. There's a filter for casters. Okay, so that's what it was. So how hefty is the like max health demon pillar chat? Like the 90 plus demon pillar? $1.8 mil? Are they all berserkers? Since the drops are based off you having casters, you can put as many support Cs in your team. So you can grind the grand battles for a lot more QP or bond. Which could then convert into Sanct Courts as you're doing the Lotto. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong to that extent. I think it's difficult, obviously, like you guys could see, you can only get like a +10 bonus here, basically. You're not going to be able to get more. That is, I think, the downside to this. So you're not going to be like at the +12 bonus you would normally or something, but it is what it is. But you start with a +10. That's also true. Yeah, so it's like the front end's a little bit better, but depending on how deep you wanted to grind, the back end, not so much. Whatever. Christmas at Ground Zero? Bro. What the hell am I listening to? SpongeBob? No, it's Weird Al, but I can see why you would think it sounds like SpongeBob. To be fair, he's not talking about 9/11 Ground Zero. He's talking about like Ground Zero of like a bomb. Like an A bomb. Is one of them Barbados? Can we bring back the meme? That I don't know. I hope so. Why are we farming this quest? I'm not farming it. I'm clearing them one time each for their reward. Because it's literally just free apples. So low-key kind of worth. Plus, the later ones there actually just have like basically for 80 AP I can get 300 mana prisms. That's actually kind of worth. Dude, what? I like that it keeps starting me on the Honestly, that has Apex equipped, which is a damage. So we'll take this because this will help damage output. Am I gonna roll for Kenshin tonight? No, I'll roll for Kenshin tomorrow. There's a lot to do today. Again, I still have not gotten to talk about Solomon with you guys. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the grand stuff is non-active anyways, which it was already kind of indicated by the lack of CEs, but like for instance, you don't get the grand buffs for doing like a buster chain here. That's big sad. I feel like it should be not required to take grands, but that grand should also apply to this. Because this would help like low-level players farm this. What's my caster grand? My caster grand is Castoria, of course. I can take a picture if chat wants. Let's get through these. No buffs, no extra damage. Yeah, it feels bad, man. I don't know if I'll be able to do enough damage to one-shot either on the final one. I haven't been paying attention to how much I've been doing. This is 814. Because the other problem is, well, obviously it's a Berserker, so we are effective. We are, however, running up against the fact that I don't have, like, a Black Grail equipped. What's up, Alba? How's it going? We guaranteed rolls in the Night Rain DLC tomorrow, yeah? Wait, is there a Night Rain DLC coming out? That is my first hearing of it. Yeah, I don't own Night Rain. It's out? Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think Metroid is also out now. Or coming out. About to come out. I don't know. Metroid Prime 4. Trans-Siberian Orchestra puts on an amazing show, by the way. Oh, I'm sure it is. Chat, you can't be grinding in Night Rain. You have a Lotto to farm. Have I finished Dispatch? I finished my run of it, but I definitely want to go back and do another one. There's just a lot of things pulling me in a lot of directions right now. Ugh. Yeah, so there you go. So we are shy here. Do have an Arch Chain, though. Let's abuse that. Be able to get back to the NP on this turn. Nice crit. I was going to figure that whichever Demon Pillar this was going to charge me either way. Feliz Navidad. Oh, no. To be fair, this one is a good mashup. This is a god tier mashup. The Spanish sounds funny, it does. Okay, so now we got at least each of those done, but you guys can see. So they do have drops of their own. To me, I'd still probably rather farm the Grand Duel irregardless, especially while it is free. But it is what it is. If you guys want to exploit this for more, you can. Again, here is your Lotto. We have a Gordoff Lotto. You get to touch his moves. But you can see the grand prize here is a faux pas print. We have apples. It is a shell Lotto, which is hilarious because NA literally has a shell Lotto coming up here soon. You get gears and octuplets. So to me, it's still not like full-fledged, but it is very, very similar to what a Lotto is. Again, even more materials here. You basically get 6 mats in this one. You get your skill gems. You still do get 30 4-star embers. You still get your mana prisms and your QP and your FP. So a ton of benefit here for you guys to grind, particularly considering you are already getting to grind on the grand score regardless. Yoink. And so that notification is telling me that I have unlocked the final fight, but I don't like doing the final fight until I've actually completed the grand score. It's just something about it where it's like it feels stupid to try and go in but until you have all the buffs. Thanks for showing us. Yeah, no problem. I figured someone was going to ask, so. But that's why, like, I have been a little bit more focused on this. I have not gotten to grind it as much as I would like. But to me, the second you attach a Lotto to the Grand Duel, like, it is actually too efficient to not grind. Like, everybody should be grinding this, which, by the way, chat, low-key, God, that is so smart of the devs. Allow me. Obviously, it's going to get everyone's participation. Obviously, it's encouraging everybody to get caught up on story. And we've attached a welfare to further make that happen. We still have a Lotto. This grinding is going to give people basically to like max out the levels a little bit more. So the devs are going to make the game look like it's really popping off right now. And that like everybody is like grinding their ass off. and like getting really high in like master level. So for the analytics on the back end of determining whether or not the like type moon should continue the game, the devs are doing all the right things to make it look that way, regardless of whether or not it's actual. So it's definitely an interesting thing to see. I definitely like this. It is them putting their like their best foot forward. Do you have to finish the final fight to get Solomon CAD? Yes, I believe so. I can double check, but yes, I believe so. I love Latin choirs. Go ahead and grab that. Take the Mighty Chain. At least between the Buster, the Triple Buster, and the Mighty Chain, you have really good odds of getting it. But I'd say it's still like 70% odds of getting a boost. So there's still like 30% of the time, or 3 in every 10 runs, where you just don't get a boost. And if you don't get a boost, it, like, at least with the comp I'm running, like if I switch to like Plug Suit or something, I might be able to get like another support, like get my own Grand in here to help out. But not the best situation for damage amplification. I love the devs are actually making this game last longer. I do too. I mean, again, it makes sense, right? The devs actually, you know, I think they enjoy this project. I think they do like their jobs. And obviously to them, it is job security. I've talked about this before, but it's like, let's imagine a world where FGO, like, let's say like the story is officially over here. The game is not, I feel like if the story actually ends and there's no new story content, I don't feel like FGO continues very long after that. Like, obviously I think people would still play, but it would kind of like begin to dwindle over time. If that's the case, it certainly is making less money if that sort of thing happens. If it starts making less money, then why are you going to end up paying the devs? Eventually it becomes like unprofitable to do so. So functionally, if they go that route, the devs are going to lose their jobs. Now, obviously, some of them could get repurposed onto other Type Moon projects. Some of them might be kind of reallocated, but I can't fathom them doing that for the entire dev staff. And especially with how like kind of inefficient Type Moon appears to be behind the scenes, it makes sense that instead, like literally the single would probably be cut loose at that point, or possibly even folded if they just didn't want to spend the money on that sort of thing. So I don't know, but I can easily see how this is almost like the devs are literally fighting for their jobs in that regard. And so it's like as the game continues, they get to keep their job and they keep getting to do the thing that they love. But if the game and its story end, then that's not a good thing for them, and they likely end up kind of having to find a new development job. Saber doesn't drop match, he has empty pockets. Right. There's no actual reason to kill Saber unless you're just a heartless, soulless bastard. That's right, Shez. No, I'm just kidding. I'm one of those who like turn-based gameplay because it works in my lifestyle, balancing a day job and raising a kid. Yeah, no, there's a ton of people that say that like FGO's gameplay is antiquated, and those motherfuckers will literally unironically play Honkai Star Rail. And you're sitting there and you're like You say that, but you're the one leaving her there. To be fair, she is a fake, but still. I'm not killing her. That would be mean. I don't think the gameplay is antiquated just because Star Rail is a flashier version of it. Yeah, and see, I could make an argument that Star Rail is actually a more simplified version of it. Star Rail does not have as much depth as FGO. But still, like, I think the point withstands that, yes, like, just because something is turn-based does not make it bad. I think, that being said, if I get to the heart of the matter, does FGO need improvement? Does FGO need to maybe, like, revamp itself? Yeah, I think so. It's a 10-year-old game. Like, how many games have lasted this long that haven't kind of, like, done a major overhaul or something like that? So I'm not going to argue that FGO couldn't be improved, right? I'm just going to argue in the sense that, like, some of the statements that people use to try to knock the game are just bad. And it's just pretty clear to me that people are just being toxic. FGO is the easiest to burn your daily stamina. That's because that's all you have to do. Like you literally just do your stamina. In a lot of other games, it's like, okay, you do your stamina, but then there's also like these other things that you need to do, other dailies in effect, or even weeklies and stuff like that. FGO usually doesn't really have anything to that effect. So it's really not hard, I do agree. And honestly, I think that's fine. The kill streak so far is 14 for 38 on Saber Load. Yeah. I didn't realize we were keeping track. But Cat is 3D. No, I mean, like, let's be real here, chat. If all of these were, like, really well-polished 3D sprites, that would just be more amazing to me. I think that would be awesome, okay? But I do think, like, there's people that are like, oh, but this game sucks because it's not, like, open world. And I'm like, huh? No. Like, that I don't agree with. I think the video games industry is kind of a proof of point of that. We obviously had an open world craze for a while, where a lot of games were open world. Just because a game was open world does not make it better. Holy shit. Right? Like, there's definitely a point where you can say, like, making things more vast and wider open actually stops the game from having as much, like, and to use, you know, even though I like the game, to use an example here, Starfield, right? Like, just because the game is so wide and vast does not necessarily mean it has, like, that polish to it, that like, custom touch. Now, I do think if you look at something like Genshin or Wuwa or something, it's like, yeah, they do. Like, the devs have really gone over that and tried to make that the case. But I don't think that necessarily just making a game open world is going to, like, solve FGO's issues and problems. I think there are ways you can revamp it. There are things you can do to try to revitalize it, to make FGO better and more intuitive. But at the end of the day, people are just looking for something splashy. Or in some cases, I think people are trying to maybe wish that, like, the game is like another game that they play. I don't know. I do wonder about that from time to time as to, like, whether or not people are almost viewing FGO with an unfair lens, that people are kind of, like, projecting a little bit with it. Yeah, do you think today will be the banner for Kagetora? For Whiskey Kenshin? Yeah, it should be tonight at Reset. Which I'll be rolling for her tomorrow. What's up, Gurus? How's it going? Oh, people who use potato smartphones would upgrade when FGO finally goes the 3D route. So, like, I'm not going to say that something like that is inevitable, okay? And to be fair, FGO does have 3D sprites in it. It's just most things are flat 2D sprites. Usually what is actually 3D, ironically enough, if you guys saw the tweet I made about, like Caliburn and, like, the sword here that the Artoria here is using, the Caliburn thing that I posted, that is an actual 3D model, as opposed to a flat 2D sprite. So it's really weird, but yeah, like, sometimes the actual, like, items that people are holding on to, so, like, for instance, Artoria here is actually 2D. The weapon, however, is 3D. They do this sort of thing all the time. And I think the reason why is because they need something to actually, like, fully rendered to be able to, like, fit the sprite in and make it look like they're holding and directing. So it is what it is. Kimba, thank you for the gift to Gurus. I appreciate it. Just tired of them wasting their brand potential? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's preaching to the choir for me. I completely agree with that. I think especially, like, on the marketing end of thing, like, FGO does not do a good job, at least over here in the West. But yeah, like they can definitely do more. They can get a lot more out of FGO, I agree. And that's where I think a lot of it is they're held back by, you know, credit to some people that do complain, some of the more antiquated aspects to FGO. The thing I don't find antiquated is like turn-based, skill-based combat. I don't think that's actually antiquated at all. I think what is antiquated is basically them not doing more with it. Like, for instance, yeah, let's look at grail fronts. Why don't we get more of them? Grail fronts are really fun. People have a tendency to really like enjoy them and talk about them a lot when they're out. So when you look at stuff like that and you ask yourself, like, why don't we have more of them? Why do we have a more relaxed content pace where like events are now 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks? Why do we have more stall time in between? A lot of this is just like personnel issues and like actual development lead time. So it doesn't feel like FGO, in spite of its capability of going for 10 years, doesn't feel like it's as robust of a crew, and that it's being run a little bit more like a skeleton crew type of arrangement. That's not a good thing. I definitely want to see them kind of like invest more into the game and beef things up a little bit. I definitely want to see them start, you know, taking more chances and trying to do different things with the game. I think all of that will help breathe life into the game and make people really, really excited for it. But yeah, I still want FGO to be FGO at its core. I still want kind of, you know, everything and all the progress that they've already made to be built upon, rather than to say like, let's tear it all down. Because I do know there are people that are just like, oh, I just want a different game, or oh, I just want a like, I just want them to flush FGO down the toilet and basically start like an FGO 2 that is a completely different style of game. And it's like, you could try that, but I don't know how successful that would be. That is definitely a major risk. There's a lot of investment with that sort of thing. And I do wonder, like, whether or not they would ever even consider something like that. And who knows? They could have been working on part 3 behind the scenes. They could have been working on FGO 2 behind the scenes, for all we know. Like, maybe some of the stuff is right around the corner. But at the end of the day, I look at it and I go like, what are the odds of this? I don't know. Because if we look at, like, say, again, the dev staff, it doesn't look like they have the manpower to work on a secret project behind the scenes for a while. So it would just depend. The last grail front before the newest one, I kept crashing constantly. Yeah, which is weird because I don't remember that necessarily happening on JP. I'm not going to say it didn't, but I don't remember that personally. And that is an interesting thing. I do wonder, again, sometimes because NA gets things out of order, we get the better save state, if you will. And sometimes that like actual, sorry, I said save state, but game state. Sometimes that actual game state, I think, is a little problematic. Because it's not the exact same state that things came out on JP. I guess I just gave up on them wanting to improve FGO to that goal. New engine, new platform gives opportunity. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm just going to say that at the end of the day, I don't know how feasible it is. I personally want them still to improve, but I do understand, like for instance, you're saying, like, I've given up on it. It's like, yeah, I mean, we've been here for 10 years, and it's like, what's the definition of insanity, chat? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So it's like, you know, we've seen how the devs operate for years. I don't know that they're necessarily going to like pull a fast one and like suddenly like rug pull and reveal all of these like new changes and stuff to us. But who knows? There is potential. As part 2 comes to a conclusion here, I'm sure at minimum, like, let's say there is a part 3, chat. I'm thinking part 3 doesn't even happen until like summer of next year, if that's the case. So what might happen, it would be like you would get like an intro here, kind of like how they did for like Lost Belt and stuff in Epic of Remnants. Like you would get an intro released in January, but that intro is just going to be like some, like maybe like a cutscene or two and like some story, maybe a battle or two, and like that's going to be it. And then that will tide you over until whatever the first chapter of part 3 would be, and who knows how long that would be. But in that time period, you might be able to like fit in like quality of life improvements, engine changes, any number of things if you wanted to like do more robust stuff. I'm thinking 2027 start. I hope not. I have said this before. It's like if they stall us out even further, while I understand that the devs are like overworked and stuff, I think that's kind of their own fault because they basically did like all this stalling here with Ordeal Call, right? So if you guys think about it, chat, how long have we been on Ordeal Call? Uh-oh. If Ordeal Call is supposed to be 2.5, Ordeal Call lasted 3 years. Compared to Epic of Remnants 1. Even if it's not, I can still say this is still 3 years of like additional content that they added on. So it's like if they try to like come around and say like, hey, we have like a 2.5 or like we're not going to get started on the new part for like over a year. I hate to say it, I think that'll really hurt the game. I think that'll really, really hurt things. They have got to give us something to look forward to. And if they stall things out, I don't think that's a good thing. Because I think, like, if they're already, like, going, like, okay, we need to be doing part 3, I think that's something they should be doing right now. Like, that's something they should already have been prepping for and getting, like, their ducks in a row for. Might drop some reruns. See, reruns would be okay, but I feel like if you just did a whole year of reruns, it would definitely like people would see it for what it is, and they would be like, "This is a nothing burger," and I'm done. Because I think like there's a lot of people. Okay, chat. I have an unfortunate truth for you guys right now. I'm gonna go ahead and make this prediction. Now that we're in December. We're going to get the finale. And regardless of whether or not we get part 3, regardless, I think some people will quit. And I'm sorry for saying this, but this is just the truth. I think some people will simply quit. Because they will go, you know what? I have completed part 1 and part 2. The arc is done. I got my fulfillment out of it. I'm done. So, unless they like immediately like go like, hey, by the way, all of this stuff is coming, I think there's just going to be people that will just quit. Okay? I do think it will affect the game's population. I think there's been people that have been like holding out for a while, waiting for that sort of stuff to happen. I don't think it'll kill the game, not by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think there's going to be a like section of the population that just go, I'm done. I've had enough. As long as whales stay, FGO will survive those quits. Yeah, and that's my only point on that is just that like there's gonna be people that have been like, I've been playing FGO for like fucking 8 years or 10 years or whatever, and they're just gonna go like, you know what? It's been a good ride, but time to go. It's like, so chat. Let me give you guys an example of this. How many of you guys watch Naruto? Just like how someone immediately goes, that's fair. How many of you guys watch Shippuden? Yeah, Shippuden wasn't my point, chat. How many of you guys watch Boruto? See my point? So I do think that's a thing, right? Like I think people go like, okay, the arc that I was interested in, it's concluded, we're good. I just like, great game. And I don't think this is going to be the majority of people. I don't think this is going to happen to everybody, but I do think several people are just going to be like, I am not watching Boruto. I did give it a shot, yeah. And I think you'll see the same thing. Like people will be like, okay, maybe if they change some stuff, I'll play part 3. And then like people will start it and then they'll be like, they're not changing anything. This is more of the same, and then they'll stop. So it just is what it is. I did it with Marvel. Yeah, Marvel would be another one. It's like, how many of y'all like watched Iron Man? How many of y'all watched Captain America? How many of y'all watched The Avengers? And then how many of y'all watched Endgame? And then how many of y'all watched anything after Endgame? So it's like there's definitely points where people have said like, okay, it peaked, it's concluded, like I don't need to see the next thing. I'm still watching that, however, yeah. And I'm not trying to like say this to insult you guys or anything like that. If you guys are fans of Boruto or you guys are fans of like anything after Endgame in the Marvel universe, I'm not like saying that to like shit on this. I'm just pointing out that in each of those cases, there were people that just said, I'm not like continuing. Because I think that sort of thing, whenever you have like a long running sequence like this, it's just natural. There's always going to be some attrition. Now, to be fair though, chat, okay, let's say they do a part 3, and they announce it, has a spicy new name and login screen. Everyone's like, oh, what's this mean, right? Like, that'll get advertised. You'll get new players. You'll get new interest in the game. Like, that'll be a thing. Particularly if they do, like I said, they do like kind of like a reboot, where it's like, they make it so that you don't have to have done part 1 or part 2 to do part 3, and so like part 3 becomes a new starting point, and part 1 and part 2 can still be done, but they are like encapsulated on their own. So like if they do that, that'll actually allow like new players to get into the game really easy. And then they can do again like a normal mode of the story, and then they can do what chat's always wanted and have like a hard mode. And if they do that, starting with like part 3, that would like make it so it's like, okay, new players can just start here, and veteran players can start here. So it's like, I do think there's ways that they can handle this where it's really good. Whether or not they do that, I don't know. Clip it, chat. Maybe I'm right. Maybe that's exactly what happens here in like a month or something. I don't know. But like that's a way you can have like a 2-tiered system and make it easier for new players to get in, but also still retain your veteran players and have content for them. I'd be happy if they did that for real. Yeah, and like that's what I'm saying. It's like it really just comes down to how they handle this. There are ways that they can still like reinvigorate the game. They can still make changes. They can still bring in new people. They can solve some of the game's problems and stuff. Yes, there's going to be some turnover. There's going to be some people that leave, some attrition, but there's also going to be growth if they actually like choose to pursue a future for the game. If, however, they say no more story, or they go the route like Nasu had kind of teased of potentially just doing like basically an epilogue, because I think he likened this to doing kind of like an epilogue for how they did for like Tsukihime, where they had like additional chapters that they released for like new characters every once in a while. Like they could do that, but that would not be as robust, and I think this sort of thing would slowly diminish and decline the game. So it's either part 3 or bust as far as I'm concerned, because I think every other eventuality leads to the game slowly declining. Not like overnight declining, but like it would basically signal a sign that like the devs are not going to be able to continue story development. Maybe gameplay development, but I'm not sure how that would go. Because I do feel like a good chunk of people play the game for the story more than anything. As evidenced by literally this shit. Everyone's like, ooh, what happened today? What's all this about? Let's all talk about it. That is literally what drives FGO. So it's like if you take that newness, that like that fun factor, that theory craft factor, that story discussion factor out of the game, I don't see the game doing well. And as proof of this, I can literally just look at stream numbers. It is what it is, chat. Oh, we're close. So close. So I need 50 more there and 140 more. So I basically need 190. So it's probably like 4 more runs. Maybe? Yeah, it actually seems about right. Like 32 is about the number of runs. I hope they're cool enough to tell us so that we don't waste courts. Let's be real here, chat. Do you guys feel like FGO is predatory? Like, you know, when I look at some of the other gacha games, I really feel like they're predatory. They try to do everything they can to obfuscate things and try to make you, like, spend your money. FGO, well, I don't feel like it has great rates. I do feel like it's very transparent and upfront with how it conducts itself. So I don't feel like it's predatory in that sense. And I'm going to say this, chat, they could have released Solomon, and they could have made a metric shit ton of money off Solomon. Everybody and their brother would probably be rolling Solomon. And they released Solomon as a welfare. So do I think that, like, they would be transparent with the future of the game? Yeah, I think the only reason they honest to God have not been for all of these years is simply because Nasu doesn't want to tip his hand when it comes to story. I legitimately think that's the only reason. So I think, like, if that's out of the way, I think they'd be very transparent as to where they see the game going. FGO doesn't counsel. Remind me to go into the shop to buy more. Yeah, that's true. It does not, like, sit there and be like, yo, dog, have you bought, like, your new currency? Have you done all of these things? Have you not, like, or again, like, it doesn't pull the Marvel rivals, like, yo, hey, come buy our shit. It's always on sale. Come on, crit. Yes. There we go. When do we find out? New Year's stream, I'm guessing. I think New Year's and shortly thereafter will be when we will find out about the future of the game. I do agree. And to be fair, chat, we also know, like just based off Takeuchi's own comments, that we will celebrate, like, Annie 11. So, like, straight up, that's them telling you, it's like, dude, the game's going to keep getting developed. It's still going to be a thing. It's just to, like, what degree and, like, how much, I think that we don't necessarily know. Hey, buddy, here's some free Canado. Oh, I see. Devs, transparency, two words that'll never go together. Yeah. I'm just saying, I think they'll be transparent with regards to the future of the game after that point. And that the only reason they haven't been telling us, ooh, that was close. The only reason they haven't been telling us is because basically the story is kind of what hinges on it. I think Nasu knows that if he talks too much about, like, the future of the game, that it's going to make the story not as impactful. And he is, to a degree, right in that regard. I've just said, it's like, while he is right about, like, that he shouldn't talk about the game having a future, he also shouldn't be dooming and glooming and saying everything's going to come to an end. And then I feel like, well, yes, that does build story hype. It also, like, hurts the story publicity, or hurts the game publicity wise. It's not a good, like, marketing play. And it definitely has lost the game some players over the years. Go with that. Almost killed her? Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I think he has to talk like that. I don't think he has to like drum up the like the end of the game, quote unquote, because he keeps using that terminology. I think he can definitely say like this arc is coming to a conclusion, big things are going to happen, and that's really all he has to do. Like he doesn't have to commit to like future arcs, but he definitely has like kind of cast a wide shadow over the future of the game by phrasing things how he has. And I think that's where I fault Nasu. Wow, just all of her cards. The worst they've done is coins. Yeah, I still want to know. I really want like the interviewer to ask him who the fuck came up with coins. Like whose idea was this and why? Because unfortunately, I don't think you'll ever get that answer. Even if the interviewer were to ask it, Mr. 2 is just going to fall on the sword. But I do think like one of the higher ups had this like scummy ass plan to carve out part of that system. Because if you consider the fact that there would have been eventually like farmable coins or something like that, the coin system's fine. The coin system actually works really well. And it's like a genius move. The entire problem with the coin system is that you can't get enough coins without rolling too many copies. And therein lies the problem. And I feel like that's somebody's like evil, like, hey, this is a really cool idea. This is like master level design. And now let me be evil. I don't know if you guys have ever seen shit. What's the video game show made by the Always Sunny in Philadelphia guys? Is it Mythic Quest? I think it's Mythic Quest. So if you guys have ever seen Mythic Quest, there is like Mythic Quest is basically a parody of a game development studio. And in the game development studio, they have the monetization guy. Everybody hates him. And he's the most hilarious character in that regard because he's just ruthlessly, soullessly evil. And he just owns it, okay? But straight up, that is what it feels like is happening with stuff like that. It's like, yeah, it's just somebody was like, hey, that's a really cool system. It'd be a shame if I like took 20% of it and made it so that it had to be locked behind like a paywall or like, you know, some scummy scheme there. So I do agree. I think coins is by far the worst thing they have ever done in the game. And it's such a shame. It should not be that way, but it be. Also, you can't like say someone's going to sleep and then play this song, chat. I love Home Alone. Home Alone is like one of the like peak movies of like Christmas to me. Although I'm told, and I'm not sure whether or not I agree with this, but I understand the sentiment, but that Die Hard is the best Christmas movie ever, chat. Does chat agree or disagree? My childhood sounds familiar. Yeah. I can't get that in, so we're gonna have to do the mighty chain. Damn, I was just gonna say like Die Hard, yes. Depends if you want comedy or action. I do agree with that. I think there's some really good Christmas comedies. The NP8 nonsense is so annoying. Yeah, I just don't think that should have been a thing. And I like I said, I tried to call them out for that, but I had other people being like, "Oh no, it's not a big deal. Just roll for it. Look at how you know, great I am rolling for like the extra copies of a unit." And I'm like, guys, it's not a good thing. We should not be celebrating or promoting this. You are literally playing right into the devs' hands. And sure enough, we complained enough that they finally freaking like gave us some reprieve. Patrick Stewart's Christmas Carol. Patrick Stewart's. I don't know that I've seen that. Sounds amazing. Fellowship of the Ring is arguably a Christmas movie. Why? By the way, the final CQ here isn't caster lock. Really? All three Lord of the Rings movies were Christmas releases. Were they? Okay, so Fellowship was December 19th. Two Towers was December 18th. Return of the King, December 17th. Oh, I never noticed that before. Like I feel like I knew that back when they were coming out, but it's like I have not revisited that factoid in like 20 years. I haven't heard this in years. I haven't heard it in years either. That's not going to clear. Hula hoop. Because Gandalf looks like Santa? Yes. Only 12 more Grand Stars need to be done. I know. It is what it is. We just got Morgan out here helping her sister kill the evil man that summoned her. Going with my cousins to see Return of the King in theater, still one of my favorite Christmas memories. Now I have like the insatiable urge to like watch all of Lord of the Rings again. And I think it's because my girlfriend was talking about how one time she sat down with some of her friends and did a like all in one day, all director's cuts marathons of Lord of the Rings. And it took them like legitimately like the entire day to get through. Extended marathons, nice, yeah. I told her, I was like, we're gonna have to do that again. She's like, no, never again. I'm sitting there, I'm like, bet. Oh no, I didn't get the picture. Fuck! Give it back to me. Shimata. Oh yeah, my Castoria on JP's all EMP too. I always forget about that. Damn, I should finish that at some point. At some point being now. It'll depend. I really wonder, like, if and when we get the final like Artoria thing that they revealed. Lord Logress is a ruler type, I bet. I hope so. That's what I was talking with Avalon this morning, and I was like, I really hope that like it's another like ruler type. But unfortunately, it's like definitely a no, her NP is like, well, it's not necessarily her NP, it's like a special animation, but it's basically single target. So it's like I would really like to see like single target 5-star ruler like Artoria. That would be freaking awesome, dude. Cad, your grands are beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. NA is gonna get started with this eventually as well. But yeah, they're all 120. I think I have every Artoria 2K on JP now as well. So I've finished off gold foeing every Artoria. I haven't done every Saber face, but I've done every Artoria. And that's because the Grand Duels have given us so many of those like 5-star gold foes. But I think I just finished that today. And I know because I started gold foeing my surfer, my surf mo. Are ruler and alter ego different slots for grand extras? Yes. Wait. No. Wait, yes. Yeah. Because it's ruler, Avenger, Moon Cancer, and I think Shielder. And then it's Pretender, Foreigner, Alter Ego. Is there another one I'm missing here? I don't remember. Oh, Beast. I think it's the other one. Yeah. You can take 2 of the same tree anyways. Yeah, I mean, technically you guys can sit there and like make whatever you really want for grands, and you can have like backups and alternates. Because let me see. Oh, I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. I do actually need to finish the actual like class scores at this point. But yeah, so chat, you guys should have like again like 48 of these or something. I don't, maybe there's more if I clear the final battle, but like these are how you guys can switch your grands. This means that I can switch who my grand is 48 times. And I'm going to tell you they'll probably come out with like the ability to get more of them somehow. Yeah, you can have 2 of one. As you guys can see, there's no special denotation. I just did 1 of each because it made the most sense. Ah. Yeah, hold on. Oh. I don't know if I got that with the actual MP numbers displayed. But yeah, basically, that's in P3 and that's in P2. Otherwise, these are all in P5. And I'm like, fuck, man. The problem is I really don't want to spend the money to like finish these 2 off, especially with the game in the state that it is. Like, we don't know what the future of the game is right now. So it's like I don't want to like sit down and just go like, oh yeah, let me just throw a bunch of money at the game right now. We'll see in the future how that goes. And like potentially, I think the big thing I'm concerned with is there going to be a new Artoria coming out right now. That I'll definitely want to get, but okay, chat. Let's talk about bro on the screen. I'm not gonna deal with spoilers, obviously, but oh wait, hold on, chat. How hard is the CQ? Depends on what you have granted. I have Castoria granted. You can Draco it. Oh, so you're saying we can do like any grands? Okay, but the problem is Artoria is still going to be stunning me. Or taunting me, sorry. I know I can stun her, but... do I have a perfect Draco on this list? It's a two-person comp, so be careful. I mean, yeah, I get that. You can use your Zerctoria? I could. I mean, Fox is not bad here. I think the only issue would be that instead of a MLB Black Rail, but he may not have one on JP. That has got to do so much damage. Holy shit. It's not looking like I have a Draco on the list. Not a, like, perfected one, at least. There you go. Somebody's already granding their Solomon. Steel can probably do it pretty well. Probably. I don't approve of the outfit here, but... let's go for it. It's crazy how every single Olga is magically MP5 120. What do you mean magically? I mean, again, I think that's just the case of people wanting to finish off certain characters. I think there's a ton of people that like Ace class Tonal Eco, but they don't like... they haven't, like, finished her. Oh, you know, it might have helped if I had brought something that could actually stun. So this is unfortunate. You have to commit a war crime or back out? I'll back out. It's 5 AP. The real problem is refreshing to find it again. Yeah, actually... interesting. Doesn't have the divine trait, but that's kind of expected. but is chaotic. So Artoria would work. Okay, well played, chat. This is a nice mashup. Yeah, see, the problem is there's just not enough Granded Dracos. Nice, Malagorn. Let's try it. Could check all slot. That's an interesting idea. In theory, the all slot. Yeah, I was gonna say the all slot should have precisely no one because there is no all slot for grands. That's why I was like, huh. I don't know if that's a thing. That's why I wasn't even thinking about it. Like, so when you suggested, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, hell with this. Yoink. The only problem is we won't have the survivability that anything else affords. But OG plug suit. I must be desperate to need you. Wait, what? Oh my god. A good Saber Barcast works wonders in this fight. We'll see. I have no idea what the fight actually is. Like, I'm just gonna try to nuke him and then regret it. And if this doesn't work, it doesn't work. Yeah, so it just inactivates it. I assume his second health bar is more, so we're gonna sit on the plug suit attack. Oh my god, dude, it is so hard to tell what you're targeting due to the like grand icon. Holy shit. That's the first time I've ever noticed that. So again, she is anti-chaotic. He is not divine, so it won't work here, but we'll still get half the power mod. Okay, got the bar break, so we should get some overkill here. The real problem is that if they nuke OG Castoria here. Oh, he has damage resist now. Interesting. Okay, whatever it was, I guarded it at least. So we had a 1-turn increase on skills. Oh, the taunt is back! No! Yeah, I would need 2 stuns. Kill her? You know you have to? No. I mean, I'm gonna launch this, but I'm not gonna, like, kill her. It's mostly just for party protection. Isn't there a useless Grandcaster ability to reduce cooldown? Yeah, it's still gonna take so long. Oh, bro has Sultan Defense Pierce. Ew. Ew, how long does that last? Okay. Could probably 2-turn Artoria. I mean, I could probably kill her right now. I just don't want to. Thankfully, he didn't give Psalm Defense Pierce to Artoria. We're gonna let this be a dummy turn here. He got Psalm Defense Pierce. This is basically game over. I think he just wins. Because he's got his NP here now. And there is still another turn. Holy fuck. Yeah, I think he wins. I don't think there's anything I can do. Tank it? I mean, I can try. I don't think there's a defensive skill in the caster stuff. Yeah, so that's the other problem because of the taunt. So one of the things you can drain an enemy by doing a non-specific chain, but I can't because I can't target him. I can heal myself by doing a non-specific chain. Maybe it'll still allow it? Still redirected it. And actually, this is not going to work anyways. It's going to nuke the shit out of my Berserker. Counter tracks all effects, yeah. Okay, the taunt is finally gone. We're going to take the arts chain here because it will reduce arts effectiveness down. And more importantly, it's going to give me 2 stacks of solemn defense here and some additional attack up before Castoria Berserker's MP. Problem is now I don't have the guts. Okay. Oh, damn. That's actually... Okay. I did not think I was going to clear with that. I didn't think I was going to get that close because I would have just popped the attack up, but there we go. Messy, 6 turns. Did it with a single target? But we did it, and we didn't kill Artoria, which is all that matters. I would have taken failure over killing Artoria, chat. The game gives me a way around it. We're not killing her. We know. What gave you the guts? Is that the Grand Berserker effect? I think so, yes. There we go. So it took me straight to the prologue, chat. I'm not going to show chat the prologue for obvious reasons. But there you go. There's your reward. What is this song? I have no idea. And there you go, chat. I think I also called this one, like, that we would have playable Solomon at one point, and people were like, no, 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 no. This is not going to be a thing, Cad. You don't understand the lore. And I'm like, yeah. Harry the Platypus. Nasu always finds a way. Yep. Oh boy, chat. Behold. Look at the spoiler title. I would just like to point out that. What that is, what that is. So we can finally select it. And I'm gonna assume that says Antarctica or Chaldea or something, I don't know. Definitely an interesting thing. Oh, interesting. So they added a button for it. Oh no, never mind. That's the button for Olga. How dare I? I was gonna say, that's impressive if they already added a button. Also, oh boy, I'm about to be 182. Now off to the Evo shop, Pepe Sprint. Yeah, so he is a welfare. You guys are going to get all of the stuff for him in the Evocation Festival shop. Where is it? And they definitely gave us a ton of things. So we have the capability of actually like getting everything that we need for him. Gonna go ahead and buy everything there. I don't know how we get his ascension stuff. I assume ascending him is actual material. So let me go take a look at that real fast. I also do not want to tell chat wrong on that front. Yeah, privacy. Cool. You like the privacy. No way. There we go. I was gonna say, it's like, surely that's gonna be a thing. Okay, so definitely a whole lot here. Let me make sure they have everything right. Oh, Avalon, are you here at the moment? Can I get a breakdown on that? Because that's the one thing when I was reading through this earlier that I just was not entirely sure how this one works. Like, Atlas was very confusing with how they labeled it. He'll get charged, but how much? Because it says charges on NP gauge based on the consumed NP values of the user. If I remember correctly, half? I kind of need to know. It's half the charge of the NP. Yeah, because I guess the other thing I want to know is, like, what happens if you're at, like, 200%? Do you still only get 50? Or is it, like, now it's 100? 130 gives him 65? Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I wanted to make sure of. $50% means half. I mean, 50% means 50% charge, also. So, hence my asking for clarification. Got a fuck ton of SSRs. Nice. Congratulations. Up to 150%, yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, and there's no way that overcharge would impact that. Okay. And that's how I assumed it was working. I didn't know the charge values, though. And like I said, Atlas is really freaking weird. If you want to understand what I mean by that, This is the Atlas page, chat. Atlas goes, NP reduction when using Noble Phantasm. What? And it's like, I know that's not right based off the translated description. So it's just really, really odd. But to be fair, we don't really have anything else like that in the game. That's why I wanted clarification on that specific aspect. But is the JP Lotto unlimited before I spend all my apples? Yes, it is. Atlas explains it wrong. I think it's just translation issues / like it is a new effect and it's not necessarily like they understand how it's going. I don't know. It may just be like what got auto pushed. Okay. Okay, Esther, are you here? I'm here. Do you want me to record on this scene, or do you want me to go back to the old thing? Because, like, I assume you want black background, so... Or are you fine just cutting me out of this with no background? At least it's a Eurobeat remix, chat. Should totally use some chapstick and eyeshadow? What are you trying to say? I mean, never mind. You saying I'm a pasty white guy? Is that what it is? Okay, chat. Let's get out the numbers. Here, let's try that. Usually when I close something on the screen, then it immediately... There you go. Did I just open 2 Olgas? Yes, I did. Okay. Get these in some semblance of an order. I think I'll leave Oberon till last because he's technically the most direct comparison. We've got Juna there. And do Lartoria. I work at Burger King making Flame World Whoppers. I wear paper hats. Would you like an apple pie with that? Would you like an apple pie with that? Ding, fries are done. Ding, fries are done. Solomon is scary in the Invincible comp. Oh, yeah. Alright. I'm not going to hit the record button, so I'll let OKS decide when the start of this actually is. I do have chat on the screen. Abnormality, but it is what it is. Anyways. So, yeah. Today, let's talk about Solomon. Now, you know, again, we had this discussion earlier in the stream, and you guys were sitting there saying, like, oh, Cad, you can't claim credit for this. I've been predicting Solomon coming back into the game as a playable character, as the Grand Caster, as, like, a lot of the stuff for a while now. I don't want to make myself sound too smart. There's nothing really smart about it. This was just, to me, almost like an inevitable foregone conclusion. How they've done it, though, and we're not really going to talk about it, but how they've done it is certainly an interesting way. And I definitely like to see what they've done with the Grand Duel. But Solomon is coming to us as the game's arguably first 5-star welfare. The reason I say arguably first is because we have had SSR selectors in the past. We have had Mash, who's gotten promoted to a 5-star. So he's technically not the first, but this one kind of comes out of left field. This is a servant that a lot of us would have probably rolled for, and certainly as a 5-star with a pretty cracked kit, this is actually pretty abnormal that they're just going to go ahead and give it away. I think a lot of this has to do with the developers wanting to really promote the finale to Part 2 story. They really want to get players in and kind of make sure that everybody has a fair shot at this and give somebody a really good character, assuming you've managed to get all the way through the Grand Duel. Now, that's going to be the problem. In order to unlock Solomon, you need to be able to do the Caster Grand Duel, which requires you to be able to do the prologue for the finale, at least to start it. Once you've done the first rung of the prologue, then you have the unlock of the Caster Grand Duel that has just come out. You'll have to complete your Grand Caster, beat the final challenge fight at the end, and then you will be able to complete the last kind of pip of the prologue there. Once you've completed the last pip, then you will get your Solomon welfare. From there, where you're going to go is you're actually going to go to the Evocation Festival shop. You will be able to buy everything that you guys need for him there. Admittedly, it is an interesting thing at how they've done this one because he doesn't actually have Ascension materials like a normal welfare does. Instead, he has just normal Ascension mats like a normal unit does. But it is what it is. I think the devs just still want to say, hey, look, we're giving you this 5-star for free. You're still going to have to use some of your resources in order to level him. So you can definitely get all of his copies with the Evocation Festival leaves. You can get all of his coins that way. So you won't have to worry about either of those two considerations. But again, you are going to have to spend some resources in order to get him up and online. Now, Solomon is coming to us as an AoE buster, not caster. That is to say, he's going to be a pretender instead. But the way he's going to function is pretty interesting. We're going to go over his kit here in a bit and talk about all of his possibilities and things that you guys really need to pay attention for. Because again, this is a free unit. All of you guys should eventually get this, and this is definitely one you guys are going to want to make sure that you're getting the most out of. So, as we look at Solomon, you guys can see right off the rip, as a pretender, he only has about 10k attack. For a 5-star, this is definitely low. I don't think it's going to be that concerning because, again, you are guaranteed NP5 of this guy. You're definitely going to get a pretty high octane offensive servant out of this. Certainly, looking at his HP, he's at about 14k. I maybe would have liked to have seen this a little bit higher just because the attack stat's so low, but I think they're a little bit worried about Solomon being a little bit too cracked, so it is what it is. He himself is Earth Attribute in the form that we summon him here. And he is star absorption of 102, star generation of 20%, and NP charge attack of 0.77. As a buster-based unit with 2 buster cards in his deck, 0.77 is actually pretty darn good because he still has the arts cards. And his NP charge defense rate, which is the amount he's going to get per hit, is 3%. His death rate's 18%, which is a little bit below average. And his alignment is chaotic evil, so that means he will have a little bit of synergy with other chaotic evil buffing units, a la Doman. His gender is going to be male, and his basic traits are going to be Defender, immune to Pigify, King, or the Sovereign trait as I like to call it, Servant, and weak to Inima Elish. So he doesn't actually have a whole lot of traits here to kind of exploit or kind of synergize with. That's maybe one of the concerns about him, but I'd argue that it's not really too big of a deal. Now again, looking at the deck, as we already mentioned, he does have double buster, double arts as his primary deck here, and he does have the singular quick card, but all of his hit counts are average or higher, and actually there's some pretty nice standouts here with the arts cards both being 1 hit above average, the quick card being 2 hits above average, and the extra attack also being a hit above average. So that means the extra attack is going to perform quite well for him nicely as well there. So as we look at his first skill here now, moving on to his actual kit, this is where things start to go kind of crazy for welfare. You guys can see he charges his own NP gauge by up to 100%. Means you don't need to start him out with any amount of starting charge. You don't have to do really too much to him at all. You can see he recovers the party's HP every single turn for 3 turns by up to 2,000. So again, he's just going to kind of have some latent healing there. He's going to grant the party critical star regeneration buff for 3 turns. And again, that is up to 10, and that is, I believe, per ally there. So really, really nice in that regard. He's going to get a whole lot of stars out of this. But he's got a lot of like power creep going on here. We just had some really nice stuff from other units already baked into his kit. He's going to increase the party's critical damage for 3 turns by an additional 30%. Not the greatest, but hey, listen, you've already got a Buster unit that's providing a shit ton of stars and charging himself, and you're going to be buffing him with other Buster supports that also do that similarly. So like him having even more crit damage here is just icing on the cake. The problem with this skill is it's going to be on a 7-turn cooldown. So the big priority for your appends with Solomon is going to be his 5th append. That will lower this skill's cooldown to a 6-turn cooldown at a Lord rank. Therefore, that's going to allow you guys to be able to double this up with a double Koyanskaya setup. Definitely nice, as that will mean that he can have 2 100% charges in a 3-turn duration, which is frankly just kind of insane. It's, you know, very similar to how we've been operating now with Arcuid, and her getting the 5th append really helped her out in that regard. So same deal here. Even if you somehow didn't have enough, you'd still be able to 3-turn with him due to him being a 100% charger, but I highly recommend investing in that 5th append. The second skill here is Seal of Solomon. This one's going to overcharge the party's NP by 1 stage 1 time over 3 turns. This is going to increase the party's NP damage for 3 turns by up to 50%. So again, if you're using him alongside, say, someone like Oberon, boom, there you go. There's a whole lot of extra NP damage upscaling. If you're using him on top of that with something like a Black Grail, that's even more. You're going to get a whole lot of compounding, just really insanely scalable stuff here. He will increase the party's debuff resistance, interestingly enough, for 3 turns by 30%. This is a sizable amount. This will make it quite a bit harder, especially if you're using units that already have pretty decent debuff resistance, for a debuff to actually land on them consistently. So it's definitely a nice little kind of hidden gem here baked into his kit for challenge purposes. But then we get to an interesting effect where he will grant himself NP refund on use buff for 3 turns that is unstackable. So this means even if you double up the skill, you're not going to get it twice. The way this skill is going to work is that basically whenever a caster ally, except himself, uses their Noble Phantasm, it will charge his own gauge based off of the consumed NP value of the user. So he's functionally going to get refunded half of their Noble Phantasm. So let's say you're using him alongside Merlin, and you're in this challenge fight, and Merlin just manages to throw out his Noble Phantasm in order to heal the party. Well, even if he's at the first rank there of just 100%, that's still right there with Merlin using his 100% charge to use Noble Phantasm. That's going to give Solomon half of that. So he'll get 50% charge based off of that. If Merlin instead was at, say, 200% for the second rank, that would give Solomon half of that. So that would be 100% charge for Solomon right there. A little bit, Solomon, especially depending on how you use him, is going to basically end up in a scenario where he almost has too much charge in certain scenarios. So I think this is an interesting way of handling it. I'm really surprised by how they gave this, but yes, the maximum would be having somebody at 300% charge, them using their Noble Phantasm, and then Solomon is going to get half of that. So he's going to end up getting 150% charge. Not that you would necessarily need it, but it is an interesting effect. And again, it does last for multiple turns. I think the interesting aspect here is that if you're using assassins and you're using like Koyanskaya, and you're using Oberon as, say, another pretender, they're not going to count as caster allies. So you're going to have to be a little bit careful about who you use him with if you want this sort of thing to work. That being said, you have units like, say, Shakespeare out there that have gotten a really nice support buff recently, that are a caster, that are Buster buffers, so you could use them alongside Solomon. You could get a pretty decent amount of longevity here. But this is definitely going to be something that will help counteract, like, say, not having the Koyanskayas in the party to reduce cooldown. So that is what that is. For the third skill here, now moving on, Solomon is going to basically get Arts and Buster Performance up for 3 turns by 30% each at rank 10. So again, recalling back to his deck, he's got double Buster, double Arts cards in his deck. His Noble Phantasm is Buster itself. This is just really nice. You're getting a whole lot of coverage here. It's covering 80% of his deck and basically going to cover his Noble Phantasm as well. But it doesn't stop there, as he's also going to get an increase to his own damage and defense against 7 Knight class enemies. Doesn't have to be a servant particularly here. This is just a extra power mod of 30%, up to 30% I should say, and an extra defense up of up to 30% against the base 7 classes of the game. That is really nice. That's going to make him very effective, and even though he's a pretender and he's already pretty much, you know, decently effective against the Knight triangle, the Cavalry triangle, or sorry, not the Cavalry triangle, withstanding the Knight triangle of enemies there that he's effective against, this actually will just kind of stack on top of that, and it will make him at least semi-effective against, you know, the Cavalry triangle as well. So it is an interesting thing to see, but obviously this is something that I think they're just trying to really portray him as being strong. Taking a look at his passive skills, again, we definitely have Territory Creation D in here. We have Item Construction, which doesn't do anything basically. Clairvoyance D for increased critical star generation rate of 10%. This will help him out a little bit more in that regard, especially because his critical star gen rate wasn't too terrible. And then Independent Manifestation E that increases his own crit damage, instant kill resistance, and mental debuff resistance there. That's definitely nice. Now, moving on from this, we can definitely get to the append skills here. And I've already mentioned the importance of getting the 5th append on him. I think that's going to be a big one. 4th append certainly could stack with that additional crit damage he's already providing and could potentially double up on. So instead of having, like, say, 60%, you could have up to, like, 90% for himself, 60% for the rest of the party just off of his own buffs. So definitely the 4th append can be a good one. The 3rd append here being anti-caster attack damage aptitude. This is something, again, he does have that semi-effectiveness, but with him as a pretender, I'm not sure you're necessarily going to want to use that. This one may be the odd man out when it comes to appends. The mana loading append, though, ironically enough, won't necessarily have a lot of use. It's kind of like getting mana loading on someone like Arcuid. Yes, you could do it. Yes, it might have some applications, but ultimately, it's not going to be the most useful of appends due to the fact that he is a 100% charging unit. And then again, looking at his first append here, the extra attack finesse, obviously with him having a really good extra attack with hit counts there, this actually can be a really, really nice one for him to get. So for me, I recommend the 5th append and probably the 1st append, maybe the 4th append, but if you're running low on coins, I think the 2nd and 3rd are the ones that you guys can do away with. Taking a look at his Noble Phantasm, again, it's Buster AoE 3 hits. It's going to remove all enemies' buffs activating first. So this will remove everything, literally every buff that an enemy has on it, unless that buff has the white box around it. So if you're in like a challenge fight or a story fight where there is a gimmick, those buffs that have white boxes around them cannot be removed. That is unfortunate, but everything else that an enemy does, that can be removed. So this is really nice because it's going to end up getting rid of, you know, obviously things like Invuln Pierce, but it could also get rid of things like Guts and stuff too that's really annoying and going to stop you from doing your job. Particularly, you know, again, things like Solid Defense or Invulnerability or Evasion, all of that's going out the window with this type of Noble Phantasm. It's a really, really good thing for him to have. And again, he is welfare, so now everybody can potentially get this at some point in the game. From there, he'll deal damage to all enemies, and in a odd move here to me, they actually made the Buster Resist down happen after his damage. I feel like they were on a roll of just making him super cracked and giving him a ton of extra good stuff, so they didn't put this before damage. So instead, this is after damage goes out, he will have Buster Resist down of 20% for 3 turns, but if he is hitting the same enemy over and over again, and with the amount of charge he has rolling around in his comps, this is not going to be a bad deal for him. He will then, from there, charge his own NP gauge by 20%. So the man just shits refund and has a ton of extra charge for him. So it's really, really a good thing. And then as we look at his overcharge effect, this is potentially the use of having extra scalability and extra charge on hand, is that he does have a damage scaling and increasing overcharge, which is that it increases his NP damage for 1 turn before damage goes out. by a base of 10%. But if you get overcharge ranks, 20, 30, 40, 50%. So it's nice scalability there. And again, remember, he does have overcharge in his own kit. So at least the first time you do this, you are going to get 20%. Problem is, it's a little bit front loaded, so it is what it is. So again, going back and looking at that skill there, basically, as long as you have this with the 5th Append unlocked and Lord, you could double the skill up, so that means you'd get it back on the 3rd turn. So you wouldn't have to worry about it being popped on the 1st turn, but no, it would not necessarily be something you could have like on turns 2 and 3, unfortunately. But still, a really nice damage scaling overcharge, exactly what we want to see. So to me, again, Solomon's got a really, really nice kit for this sort of thing. Let's talk about charge scenarios for him. And we don't really have to go over too much. Again, like we said, the only real requirement here is going to be a Pen 5. Yes, that's maybe a tall order for some people that are newer to the game, but I do think this is a really, really like just no-brainer one that a lot of people will just go ahead and unlock. This will just allow him to function at a very high capacity. He'll have 100% charge right off the rip for himself, but he'll be able to get it back again. So realistically speaking, you're not using everybody here for the charge necessarily. A lot of this is just going to come down to doing what you want to do. And you can see, like, even though he has 100%, we're basically going ahead and just using a Koyanskaya cooldown reduction here in turn 1 because we don't need the charge from it. So there's really no downside to doing so, and it definitely is an interesting thing. But as we look at that, you guys can definitely see just the sheer amount of like overkill of charge that Solomon has. And this is an easily completable 3-turn. You can do it with any amount of CEs, anything equipped that you want. So there's really nothing that you have to really try. Yeah, and to be fair, he's not somebody that like new players should really be getting. So it makes sense that he's going to be kind of cracked in that regard. Taking a look at Solomon's damage numbers. These are just his raw numbers under his own power. This does not include anything like a like craft essence equipped or support casters coming into play. So it is what it is. Again, looking at this, I think you guys could see we can guarantee the 5th copy, assuming you have the evocation leaves. Looking at that, he's only at about 47k, but this is neutral. So Pretender, you're going to get a little bit of effectiveness. And this does not include his power mod, which is over here at about 55.8k against a neutral enemy, which is kind of an odd statement to make, but again, it is what it is. But you guys can see this is about how much scalability. So you do get a nice, like, sizable bump up there in terms of performance. And it is interesting to denote that these numbers will only get better as we put him in an actual composition. So let's take a look at that. Solomon with 2 times Koyanskaya, Oberon, and a level 100 Black Grail. This is pretty much his, like, idyllic scenario here, is he's just going to get a ton of capability out of this. Now, looking at that, looking at our NP5 numbers, because we don't need to calculate anything else, you guys can see, obviously a little bit pedestrian there, wave 1 and wave 2, still solid, but nothing like too crazy. But by wave 3 with that Oberon spike, man is just going to be popping off. He's going to be having a metric ton of damage output rolling out. So at 571k, these are still neutral numbers, but good lord, this guy is going to be able to pump damage. And at NP5 with his power mod active, still neutral numbers, but with the 30% power mod added on, 628 now. And then if we have man attribute power mod from the Koyanskayas, it's going to bump it up to 733. And if he has both, all the way up to about 800k. These are not like the strongest damage numbers in the game, not even close to it, but these are still solid. And this is still a guaranteed NP5 5-star unit that you guys are getting. So definitely really nice to see. But let's see how this stacks up against, you know, a couple of like hand-picked selections here. So I just asked Avalon to put together some stuff for me to kind of show this stuff off. But as you guys can see, we do have a couple of options here. We're going to start out with Artoria, because Artoria, again, as I've told chat many times here, is actually our strongest AoE Lancer now due to the waiver buff that has happened, plus Artoria's own buffs that have happened to her in the Lancer category here. You guys can see she's kind of sitting there at NP1 at about 446k by the end of wave 3. If you have power mods coming into play here, you get a lot more scalability. You also have Koyanskaya being able to provide man attribute. So there is a whole lot of scalability there to go on. But it is interesting nonetheless to see the actual like damage output there and how that's going to stack up against Solomon's 571k. And actually, I think that number right there in the bottom right of NP1 is actually incorrect. But regardless, again, if you bump it up to NP2, all of a sudden you're competitive and even just better raw than Solomon's best numbers. So we're kind of seeing that exact same dichotomy already of like Solomon NP5 really good, very competitive with our 5 stars that are even like really powerful right now. Problem being, we're comparing an NP5 to an NP1. So let's take a look at another one. Here's Ace, aka Tonalico, for you guys. And you guys can see she's also somebody that really wants that 5th pin. We're going to use 2 times Korean Sky of Light, Oberon, level 100 Black Grail for her as well. And obviously NP1 there, you're only getting 357k. This is a caster, but she is sort of the best caster out there at this time. You do have man attribute coming in really strong for her, and then the evil niche and the combination of both, so she can outscale Solomon if the cards are right. And certainly at NP2, boom, there you go. She's already a lot more competitive with him. Taking a look at God Juna, you do have a similar deal, except now we're dealing with cranking. Now, God Juna, probably at this point, I think if we're starting to compare outside of his class, could use a buff. I think in his class, he's still really strong. But I think there's a lot of people that want to say, like, okay, look, he doesn't have the utility that someone like Morgan Le Fay has. We have some pretty nasty giants in that one, like Summer Ibuki. So maybe God Juna can use something. And I think these numbers are interesting because obviously, you know, as a Berserker, you're effective against just about everything. You're not full effectiveness, but you're at least 1.5 times effective. So you can take each of these numbers, multiply that by 1.5, but you can kind of do that the same as well if we're talking about the night classes that we're up against for the Pretenders. So definitely some interesting stuff here in terms of his damage performance, but no, he's not necessarily going to hold a candle to Solomon straight up. So that is an interesting thing to see and to note, is that Solomon's already coming in stronger than someone like, say, God Juna. If you compare to Tiamat, Tiamat actually could potentially lose out to him, and that's kind of a crazy statement to make because Tiamat's one of the game's strongest units. But it's not factoring in, obviously, like man attribute from Koyanskaya. But similarly, you know, Solomon can double dip into that too. So there's definitely some competitiveness. But as we start looking at MP2, Tiamat just immediately outscales him. So it's a similar deal. It's like if you start getting more MP levels of some of your stronger units, they're just going to be able to outdo Solomon. But not everyone's going to be able to outdo Solomon just due to the kind of disparity that we have amongst 5 stars. Looking at Olga, Olga's another beast unit that's come out that has effectiveness against a lot of stuff. So I figured she'd be a decent comparison here. On top, you guys can see Merlin, Koyan, and Oberon with a level 100 Black Grail. At the bottom, it's a pen 5 with Koyan and 2 times Oberon. And you guys can see the numbers are pretty samey across the board. But either way, they are at least going to be competitive with Solomon. But again, the second you get to that MP2, raw, she'll get beat by Solomon, but in any of her niches, she will just obliterate Solomon at that point. And then last but not least, I figured, hey, let's compare him to another Buster AoE Pretender, Oberon himself. So Waver coming into the mix and having some interesting buffs now for himself definitely has helped out Oberon a little bit here, but you guys can see Oberon kind of just not really going to be able to hang too much unless he has both man and lawful niche coming into play. Then he'll hang with Solomon. But similarly, as you start getting up to NP2, boom, there you go. NP2 with just the lawful super effective niche for him would be enough. So that's food for thought there. Maybe if you guys have a pretty robust Oberon, it's not something that you need to like heavily invest in Solomon, but again, Solomon's free. He's a free tool for all of you guys to use, assuming you guys have him unlocked. I see no reason not to use him. How do you guys feel about Solomon? How do you guys feel about the design, the implementation? No spoilers, please, but definitely curious to hear you guys' generalistic thoughts on the matter. And how do you guys feel about the game getting a new 5-star welfare at this stage? So again, I'll be curious to hear you guys' thoughts. I will see you guys for the next video. Thank you guys for all the support over all the years. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Definitely helps the channel out. Have a good one. There we go. A lava attack. Push it to the chicken. Chicken! Yeah, Solomon is definitely an interesting one. Like, again, I'm a little bit surprised the damage is not even better than this, but I also feel like they just don't want to break their game. Cat has them already. Will you be getting Solomon yourself? Yeah, I definitely have them already. It is interesting that at this point, like, I feel like Oberon is so freaking meta. Like, even to Solomon's damage numbers, if you want to get the most out of Solomon, you need Oberon. And at that point, it's like if you have Oberon, you don't direly need Solomon. So it's really weird how they handled this one in that regard. But I think you're going to start to see some pretty insane stuff with Solomon. You're probably going to see like double Solomon comps and crap, and it's just going to get like hilarious to me. Chat, I would like to point out, by the way, that this is weird. Does anyone know what I mean? I mean, empty story display they've actually done before. Chat. There's Chaldea Gate. There's this. Uh-oh. So, in a weird way, this is being treated like it's an event. Because normally it should be going in here. And it's also weird that it is split out from Ordeal Call. So I find that interesting. Like, just the order of it. That's such a, like, small detail, but it's very interesting. Considering the location, I won't spoil. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, it's rather intriguing how they've handled this. And the little zero? Well, of course, it's zero. His null chat. Alright, back to the farm. We got a lot on the farm, chat. Let's go. I may be done with my grand, but, like, we got shit to do. I am awakened. What is this mashup? The finale to end all finales, right? You know the finales of raids, so yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like the way it's being portrayed, it's already kind of telling. Okay, not gonna lie, I do kind of like the like part here where it like breaks into the beat. Do we know what mats are in the boxes? Yeah, there are 6 materials. Still would not beat the NA record. That's true. The NA record is unbeatable unless like JP gets a bigger glitch. That's the only way. But yeah, I do find it funny that we get a redux, like a return to Temple of Time here prior to the finale. So I feel like we're gonna see some shit, and I can't wait. I'm so hyped for the finale now, especially now with the like Artoria hint here. I am like, I feel like on one hand I was maybe dreading it before, but now I'm like excited. Now it's like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for. This is what I've wanted. I mean, that should work. Not Bond 10, no Bond enabled, but should be fine. I don't know how many, like, Tonalicos actually have their, like, Bond C set to the Bond effect. Uh-oh. Bruh, is that what the title of the stream was talking about? Is this a skin? We don't know. It could be a skin, it could be an NPC, but I think it's highly likely that it's summonable. I don't think you go to this effort and you do this much work and you taunt your player base with it only to be like, ah, here you go. Like, again, it has all new animations. So I think the odds of it being a skin are like nil. So it's basically, is this just a really elaborate NPC debate? Or is this a summonable character? And I think it's a summonable character. Fuck, it's awesome. Yep. I am excited. It's not Lily. Yeah, it's very interesting because I did point this out. So if you actually look, I understand why people say it's Lily. Okay, to be fair, the black ribbons, that's Lily. If you ever see Artoria with like black ribbons on her, it's usually an indication of Lily. And this is also why Castoria has black ribbons on her. It's the different form of Lily, basically. But I think, and one of my hypotheses would be that this, you could almost call this like, again, you could call it like Ultimate Saber, you could call it like Final Saber or something like that. You could call it like kind of just like Kingly Saber or something. It's like, but I also looked at this as like, honestly, this could be like Coronation Saber. This could be the moment like of Coronation where she like is going from being Lily to being OG. And that would be a really, really interesting thing. But is it Lily? No, not expressly. The name is a big deal, yeah. Logress is definitely an interesting like line to pull from. Red Saber, I can't believe they use Nira instead of Artoria as Grand Saber. It's clearly not Umu. Oh, I leveled up. Yay! Free real estate. So many level 100 Tonalicos. Come on, people. You can do it. I believe in you. 120. To be fair, coins are a thing, right? Like, I get it. There we go. That one'll work. Sword definitely got a bit more girth to it. Yeah, I saw a lot of people And I just want to point out, chat, this is like Reddit and Twitter communities in a nutshell, that they look at something and they think they know what they're talking about. I've seen so many people call the sword Caliburn today. This sword is not Caliburn. You can compare the two. It is very similar, so I do understand why people do, but like, yeah, no, it's not Caliburn. And it's funny because Avalon sent it to me, and literally, even as like Avalon was sending it to me, I was already looking at it. I was like, is that Caliburn? That doesn't look like Caliburn. Like, and the reason why is you can tell it has a much longer handle. The pommel design is different. It lacks some of the gem ornamentation that Caliburn has, but it also, like, this almost feels like a Zweihander practically. It's like this is a much longer, larger sword. It's like a mix of Excalibur and Caliburn. Yeah. And so it's like, this is definitely something new. I don't know what it is. Like, I've seen, again, people say Calidfwitch or Caliburnus, but like, to me, those just feel like you're dancing around what this is, and it's going to end up being something else. Excaliburn, that'd be interesting. Oh, nice. I love this mashup. I've heard it before. Yeah, it's a level 190 with a perfected. Yeah, why not? Add that person. This is the Dark Souls 3 Greatsword. Yeah, and I could definitely see, like I said, I'm not going to fault people for like thinking it's Caliburn, but I've legitimately seen people try to like weigh in with their expert opinion that this is Caliburn, and I'm like, it's like, have you guys seen the meme from Inglourious Bastards where the guy's like holding up 3 fingers, and it's like people keep posting that as using it as like a sign that like people don't know what they're talking about and that they're actually like fake? Yeah, that's exactly what it means to me when somebody starts to say that stuff. It's just Rongo in sword form. I mean, doubtful, right? But that would be like an interesting idea for something like that. I would definitely be curious to see. And we have had like some interesting sword lore already from Artoria's side, as we've had like Marmiados and stuff, which is basically like the sword that Herc uses. So there's already like intriguing lore surrounding this, and I'm going to be curious to see what it is. Plus, we do know it is a holy sword because that is literally what Solomon ends up saying as he's talking to Artoria when she attacks. He basically says, like, unseal your holy sword. So. But what I'm betting is that this is Artoria with Avalon. I think this is like, we are finally getting Ultimate Saber, chat. And the reason I'm going to say that is probably due to the whole otherworld theory. It's like maybe this version of Artoria never lost Avalon. And so because of that, now we're going to get like the actual like ultimate version of her. It's the sword Himmel couldn't pull, yeah. Himmel the hero. A sword that mixes in the dragon heart? Could be a thing. Definitely be interesting. I do like all the dragon animations because, like, you know, I was talking with people on Twitter about this today, but it's like, it definitely feels so nice. And Mellison fans, I'm sorry, I don't want you guys to get upset, but that's one of the reasons I feel like that I've not been the biggest fan of Mellison's character, is it feels like a lot of it is kind of like trying to steal the whole like dragon core mythology from Artoria. And then they kind of just discarded that in LB6. They didn't really go with it. And if you look at Castoria, Castoria actually doesn't have the dragon trait for that exact reason. So it's like, I felt kind of slighted by Nasu in that regard. It's nice to see him finally, like, acknowledge, like, yeah, no, she actually has dragon core and she does, like, really strong shit with that. Yeah, this is a really weird card allotment. Saber Galactica is the one that's supposed to be the ultimate Saber. Yeah, Saber Galactica would be interesting if we ever actually got it. I'd love to see them do some of the like capsule stuff, but I feel like that's kind of what they're already like hinting at with the like Servantverse shenanigans. And I'm dead serious. I want to see them do more Servantverse stuff. I feel like the Servantverse is a very cool spin on Fate lore. But admittedly, that is me as a like Star Wars nerd. So of course I like that. Give us a Star Wars or Saber Wars adjacent event. Yeah, I feel like you don't have to make it Saber Wars, quote unquote, but you could do something in that same vein, because I feel like the closest we've gotten to that was whatchamacallit, chat. The board game apocalypse event. Like, I feel like that's the closest we got. And I really want to see them do more. Also, my god, it's been forever since I've heard this version of Jingle Bells. If they do make the next Saber Wars, they can release Logres as part of it easily enough. I mean, that'd be interesting if it's like the Servantverse version. Can you imagine, like chat, what if like people from proper human history, or even the Lost Belts, just start being like, yeah, I'm summoning like Saber. And they're like, okay, you're summoning Saber. And it's like, yeah, but I'm summoning Saber from the Servantverse. I feel like shit would start going off the rails real fast. Like, all of a sudden, if people from proper human history can tap into the Servantverse, that's getting kind of crazy. Isn't that just MHX? To a degree, yes, right? But, like, it's always kind of been implied that, like, MHX is kind of on her own. And to be fair, right? Like, she doesn't normally end up in proper human history. Like, every event that she has been a part of has been Saber Wars, basically. It's gonna be the Brave Chain. New Saber name is something of Logres, which was her country's name. Camelot was the capital, but Logres was the land. Yep. And as Chad has pointed out, Lord Logres was also a thing. And so I said, it's very interesting. And it implies that this could be either something fake right now, currently, just for this, or maybe even something bigger. And like I said, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm really ecstatic to like see, like, do we get like a ultimate form of her? Because I think, like, if you guys are a Saber fan, one of the biggest things you've always wanted to see, you know, because it happens at least at one point in the visual novel, it's like you've always wanted to see like Saber at the height of her power with Avalon. Like, what does that look like? How strong is she? What is she capable of? So that's something where it's like, if they do that here, like, dude, I'm gonna be like over the moon. That's gonna be amazing. That's just gonna be so hype. You're not killing the Saber, just Grand Caster? Yeah, killing the Saber actually doesn't get you anything. Like, you guys know I wouldn't want to kill her anyways, but like, it actually does legitimately not give you a single thing for doing it. So I just am like, well, yeah, then I'm just gonna kill Solomon. Fuck it. Chat, What do you guys want for Christmas? And I don't mean Christmas in FGO, I mean Christmas in real life. What is your like biggest desire for Christmas? You? Oh, damn. Right away. Just immediate with that. I see you, Alba. I maybe got a foot pick in here for you. New PC? Oh, that would be good. A new mattress, mine is worn out. Oh my god. I got a new mattress like 2 years ago, and I am so happy that I did, because like it was bothering the crap out of me, so I totally get that. Speaking of which, is that armor Avalonish? You might be able to say that. Definitely has an interesting look to it. A new set of cooking pans? World peace? Jay, I know you don't really mean that. Can I get an uwu magic from you, Cad? I think I literally just gave that to you by reading it. I prefer a thigh pick. I mean, I do have some pretty thick, sweet thighs, okay? But I think that's just because I'm overweight right now. Speaking of which, I've been losing a lot of weight, so it's definitely nice. Gotta keep at it. What brand? Oh god, I don't freaking remember. I know the one that I want to get is like a Tempur-Pedic, but those things are expensive. Cad, why the fuck do trash bins cost so much? Are you replacing yours, or are you getting an additional one? Because that's probably why. Can I post a link to what I want? You will like it, Cad? I mean, that's easy to say and difficult to prove. But go for it. You're welcome to try. I just might sick the mods on you if it's something inappropriate. Are you saying Jay is a Chaos Gremlin, Cad? Yes. The secret to cold fusion, make a buck or two off that, right? Unfortunately, that might cause world war rather than world peace. If one country develops an energy advantage at this point, I feel like if they don't immediately share it, everyone's going to go to war with that country. The Roth is overweight. You don't look it. Like I said, I've definitely lost some weight. I'm down to like 253 right now. And I want to be at like 240. Because like 240 with like working out with muscle, like my arms are definitely showing it now. How do I unlock Solomon? So you have to basically have access to the prologue for the finale. You do the first bullet. You then come in. That'll unlock the Grand Caster battle. You do the Grand Caster all the way through. You complete the final challenge of that for your unit. Then you finish the prologue's final pip. And then you get Solomon's. There's a lot to do to unlock it. But if you're already like at that point, it shouldn't be too difficult. It's basically just complete the grand duel. I need to put on some? Damn, I wish. I wish my goal was to gain weight. The things I would eat, chat. This RAM war to feed AI technologies is worrying, not gonna lie. Some of the demand is for military application, I'm sure. I'm sure it is. Again, I would tell you guys, like, if they can ramp RAM production and one of them's leaving the market, then there's going to be a replacement. Someone will step in because that's way too much market share up for grabs. Where the regular version is 1K? Sorry, of what? I've already had like 30 different conversations and I have no idea what we're talking about. Other wishes to get MP5 Kenshin and one multi. I wish you good luck with that. 60 kgs at 6 feet. I don't know what the kilograms to pounds conversion is. It doesn't really come up too often. I know my height in like centimeters. I'm like 199 centimeters tall. which makes people go, what the fuck, when they actually realize how tall I am. £2.2 to kilograms, so 60. Oh, you're not that heavy at all. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense if you're saying you need to put on some. I mean, I don't know how like tall you are, but I mean, you're sitting probably what, like around like 130, 140 pounds? That is tall AF, yep. You can't tell because I'm sitting on the, screen here. But I mean, you guys saw me yesterday when I had the ugly Christmas sweater on. And I was showing it to you. When I stand up, I'm like way over the top of my camera. Plus, I also slouch on stream a lot. I didn't used to. I used to have very good posture, and I still do sometimes. But if I'm feeling tired like I am today, I definitely am not sitting up. Like, for instance, I believe I was sitting up for the entire recording there, and then now I'm back down. Cad, do you think the new Grand Saber outfit will be a Spiritron dress in the future? No, I think it's going to be a summonable unit. I think it's going to be a new Saber. Also, again, he has a single target attack for a double phantasm, so we'll see. Six feet? Oh yeah, you definitely need to put on some weight then. You skinny. If you're like 130, 140 and you're 6 foot tall, I'd say you definitely could stand to gain some. I need to lose weight. My only saving grace right now is I seem to be losing fat now, even if my weight is staying the same. I mean, if you're working out as you're losing weight, you won't necessarily lose weight that fast because some of that weight that you're like actively trying to lose, some of that fat you're trying to lose is converting into muscle. And muscle does weigh more than fat. So you definitely do get a little bit of extra like weight there from that. That's why I said, like, to me, like back when I was in college, 240 would have been overweight for me. Me getting back to 240 as I'm now a little bit older and having filled out and working out more, 240 would be a very healthy weight for me, I feel like. Like, if I can get to 240, I will be pretty lean. And if I can get even further south than that, oh, watch out. That's like six-pack territory probably at this point. The ultimate version is 1.3K. I want it so bad. So confused. Been so many rolls over 10 plus years, it's inevitable, relate. Yeah. That would be an interesting one, Kag. I had not considered that possibility. All I'll say is that there's definitely new animations. So that's why I'm like almost assured that it's not a like costume. But that would definitely be an interesting like way of doing it if they wanted to. Hachi. Wait, what is this? Oh, it's a statue. Interesting. That's actually a really nice statue. And you're saying this is like 1.3K? Jesus. I mean, I kind of see why, but like, Jesus, dude. Because there was another big one that they did like this, where it was her with Shiro. And I didn't care for that one too much because it had the whole like unlimited blade works thing in the background. Not that I dislike Shiro or anything, but it's like, it felt like it was so much. But this one's very Saber thematic. Interesting. It does look like you can change her pose. Is that like... Also, wow, why are there so many pictures? What the Swappable armor, body, and arm part. What? No wonder this is so expensive. And yeah, look at this. 59 centimeters tall. Chat, again, for reference, I am 199. So this is like a third of my height. This is a gigantic statue. Like, holy shit. I'm actually not the hugest fan of like the swirly effects here. Like, I don't think it looks bad from the side, but like from head on like this, it just looks weird to me. Also, when I look closer, I'm not sure I like the ornamentation on her outfit. I do like the knights here. That's actually a really cool effect. It's clearly supposed to be invisible air. Like, I get it. I just, eh. What, you can get like a version without the stand? That's weird. Or maybe that's the replacement. See, that's Kino right there. It's definitely got nice detail everywhere. Like this, I see why this is so expensive. There's just over the top ornamentation on everything. But that's why, like I said, it's like this to me almost feels like too much. If this were just very smooth and like fabricy looking, this would be like a perfect statue to me. Because like you can see, they did it with this part, but they didn't do it here. Like this is smooth, this is not. Yeah, holy hell. $1,300. Doesn't ship until 2026. See, I to a degree, I wish you could just be like, hey, I don't want all the interchangeable things. I just want this one version. Can we reduce the price? Like, do I have to buy the whole damn thing type deal? Trying to nitpick it to convince himself not to get it? You're damn right. Well, I'm not going to close it. I'm just going to minimize it. Do it, Cat. It's Christmas. No. I don't even want to know what the girlfriend would think of that. Casual Control D, yeah. What are the bits listed under specs for that? Or did it say specs? Yeah, it's quarter scale. Jesus, no wonder it's so damn big. I don't see the specs part. Oh. Well, there you go. There's the regular version. Honestly, I'd be fine with that. Like, I don't need the interchangeable parts, but like, what's crazy is this is still $1,000. The ultimate bonus edition is only 300 more bucks. Like, what the hell, man? Under the text with all the images? Prototype sample shown. Each product is handmade. Jesus. Above that image? So what, this? Fate Stay Night themed base, 2 swappable heads, 2 swappable upper bodies, parts for the upper body A, parts for the upper body B, 1 bus stand, 1 Excalibur Unleashed. So if I go back to the normal version, just the Fate Stay Night themed base, so it doesn't have any of the swappable stuff. But it's wild that like all of this like ultimate stuff is only adding $300 to it. Yeah, it is kind of crazy. All right, chat. I gotta keep farming. Apparently, I'm gonna need to since Merlin died. But let me find you guys somebody to raid. Oh, he's on. Let me send you guys over to Mr. Kaito Fuma. Kaito is never on. I'm gonna send you guys his way. He's back to streaming and doing art, it looks like. So go give that man some love. Chat, I will be back tomorrow again. Should be doing rolls for Uesugi Kenshin. So hope to see you guys for that. And again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for all the support. I hope you guys, if I don't get to see you, have a Merry Christmas. And again, go give Kaito my love.